Football Association, Jones & Guerrero, Title Guarantee, National Office Supply, and Copy Express.
Half a day and good morning, Guam. News time here at The Point is 7 minutes past 6 a.m. this Thursday morning. We're coming to you live this morning from the Guam Industry Forum 2018 here at the Dusitani Convention Center in Tumon. I'm Kevin Kerrigan. Here's a look now at some of the top stories from the Guam Daily Post. Governor Eddie Calvo announcing that deeper cuts in government services are now under consideration in the wake of the legislature's rejection Tuesday of his latest tax bill. A statement from Adelup yesterday blames lawmakers for failing to pass any of the revenue bills he's proposed to offset the $67 million shortfall in funds, despite being called into special session 5 times in recent weeks. Among the options on the table now, said the governor, are canceling bus service to private schools, disconnecting half the streetlights on island to save power costs, suspending operations at government-run facilities, recreational facilities included, like the Hagana Pool and the Dededo Sports Complex, and terminating the leases for government office space at various agencies like the Department of Chamorro Affairs, the Guam Council on Arts and Humanities, and the Department of Revenue and Taxation. Cuts to everything are on the table, said the governor, and additional dire service cuts may be necessary if the legislature does not pass a bill very soon, he said. Meanwhile, the governor has called the legislature back into session at 1 p.m. this afternoon to consider his bill to shorten the required notice for any furlough action to just 30 days from 90 days now. The governor issued the executive order Monday requiring the implementation of a 32-hour work week for all GovGuam employees. If his proposed bill passes today or tomorrow, GovGuam employees would face reduced work hours and reduced pay as early as April instead of June. Guam Regional Transit Authority Executive Manager Enrique Augustine remains the head of GRTA despite a December 2017 request for his resignation by Mark Calvo, Chief of Staff at Adelup. Augustine was asked to resign after the administration tried to intervene last year to help the Transit Authority maintain bus services. The move came shortly after a November oversight hearing that exposed several busing issues. Augustine initially agreed to resign, said Calvo, but he later reneged, claiming the GRTA board and not the Chief of Staff had the authority to relieve him. Ray Tupasna, a former Adelup staffer who alleged the Chief of Staff told him to resign in 2016 after bringing to light similar concerns. However, Mark Calvo, the Chief of Staff, denies ever telling Tupasna to resign. He told the Guam Daily Post it's a bold-faced lie. We'll have more news after this.
We have those moments in our lives that happen unpredictably. The unexpected instances that we did not really need. Now you can count on us to stay well, Papa, to live well, Papa, to stay well, making sure you stay well. Oh, we'll lift you up when times are low. I'll see how far we'll go, and stay well.
Stay Well Insurance. See how far we'll go.
How do you turn every day into cash back? With the Bank of Guam Visa credit card, cash back just got better. Get 1.5% cash back every month with every purchase, every pick-me-up, every filler-up, every Sunday dinner, every four-wheel spinner. Whatever comes to mind, even every stroll in the sweet sunshine. Everything your heart desires turns into 1.5% cash back every month. The Bank of Guam Visa credit card, the everyday card. Apply today. Call, click, or visit. Terms and conditions apply. Bank of Guam, member FDIC.
News time here at The Point is 11 minutes past 6 a.m. The Guam Industry Forum 2018 opened here at the Dusitani Convention Center yesterday, and Governor Calvo was among those giving opening remarks. Although he's been an advocate of the military buildup in the past, he told the gathering yesterday that he remains officially opposed to the buildup because of the actions of the U.S. Immigration Service, which implemented a near 100% denial of all H-2B visas for skilled foreign workers in December 2015. At this point, said the governor, he cannot support the buildup until the immediate immigration mandates that apply to Guam are adjusted to reflect equity in the application and access of foreign workers to build Guam's infrastructure. More than 500 engineers, contractors, and others from Guam, Japan, the Philippines, and the States are attending the sold-out event here. They've come to learn about the business opportunities that are opening up as a result of the $8.7 billion projects that will see nearly 5,000 Marines and their families relocate from Okinawa to Guam in the coming years. Speaking of those opportunities, nearly $1 billion worth of projects are now underway to build the Marine Corps base here. Will Bodra, director of the Guam Program Management Office for NAFFAC, spoke to the forum yesterday afternoon. He said there are currently 9 projects that have already been completed at a cost of $510 million. 8 additional projects have been awarded or are under construction, totaling another $495 million, and 6 additional projects worth a combined $2.6 billion with a B are in the solicitation process right now. The forum wraps up tomorrow. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post. Ray here with weather.
I have some. A very dry forecast in store through the next week. Rain chances could increase a bit around Sunday or Monday. Otherwise, just a slight chance of isolated rain through this period. Today, we can anticipate partly cloudy skies, a slight chance of showers. Northeast winds up to about 15 miles an hour, and overnight the daytime highs about 80 degrees. Tonight, partly cloudy, slight chance of showers. East winds up to about 15 miles an hour, and overnight lows about mid-70s. Very cold last night in the front yard. I felt
wonderful.
I felt it. It's 74, 75 degrees. Brr, I was freezing, I tell you what.
Oh, just the way I like it.
Sunrise this morning at about 20 minutes. Sunset tonight at 6:30. Sunset last night delayed a little bit. Those white legs that you saw on Marine Corps Drive and through Tumon, sorry, those were mine, and it was a little bit brighter as a result of me being out running here this morning. That's news and weather together right here on The Point.
Relax, enjoy, and be greeted by the spectacular view of Hagåtña Bay when you visit the Point at the Sheraton Laguna, Guam. Gaze into the beautiful sunset as you unwind to the music of Philip Garcia and Natasha on Wednesdays, Mama Shar and Nina on Thursdays, Philip Garcia and Louise Muña on Fridays, and Jack Larimer on Saturdays. Open daily from 8 a.m. to 11 p.m. Happy hour from 5 to 8 p.m. with all cocktail drinks for $7. Receive a discount when you present your SPG card. Call Peter Yaban at 646-2222 for reservations at the Point at the Sheraton Laguna, Guam Resort.
Portions of the program brought to you by King's Restaurant, serving Guam favorites to families for over 40 years. King's Restaurant, always open, always local.
GPSI Guam is a professional services company that is a registered contractor for the federal government. They're an SBA 8A and HubZone certified SDVOSB, providing program project management, administration, technical support, logistics, and commodities. They welcome the more than 800 companies and participants attending the 2018 Guam Industry Forum who are interested in how the U.S. and Japanese governments are collaborating in constructing facilities on Guam. Contact GPSI if you need assistance in meeting your small business subcontracting goals at 671-477-3058.
Portions of the program also brought to you by Security Title, providing solutions for complex real estate transactions. As we journey through the new year, we here at APL continue to find ways to better deliver our island's resources with innovative and cost-effective solutions, lending our helping hands by carrying your freight safely from the U.S. mainland or anywhere in our global network. We humbly honor the opportunities to continue to work and connect with you and your business. We are APL, and we are here for you.
The Ray Gibson Show. Morning talk that matters. Call now, 888-TALK. That's 888-8255.
Well, how about that, Kevin? It's not an unmitigated disaster. What do you say?
I'm amazed. Everything works.
You know what? So am I. And let me just welcome everybody to the morning show, the Ray Gibson Show here on The Point. Welcome and excuse the mess. Normally be broadcasting from our Superstation location, which is next to iConnect across from DPW. But we had the opportunity to do a live broadcast from the Dusitani. And so I want to say thanks to everybody. Jacob, who is the IT master around here, and Marissa Borja, who came in special. I don't know how people look that good that early in the morning, but here just a few minutes ago to welcome us aboard and make sure everything is all right. And I tell you what, Everything's all right.
It is.
Yeah.
You sound pretty good.
Oh, you sound pretty good too. You sound pretty good. So we got to check on Mike, because Mike's back at the radio station all by himself. How you doing up there, Chief?
Hey, I'm here, man. I'm in my my Winnie the Pooh footy PJs. I'm gonna have to change before the girls get here, though, because you know the front flap, it comes done, and I only have one button. So.
Oh, you're a one-button man.
Yeah, I'm glad we're not there.
Yeah, thank
Easy
goodness.
access.
Thank goodness. Now you would, just before the weather cast that you sent me, you said folks outside, and it's still not quite sunrise, but you should be able to see the moon and Jupiter high in the sky. Is that
That's right. Yeah, right above, of course, you see the moon, and then that big bright star down to the, well, I don't know, what direction you're looking, but for me it was lower right. But it's the brightest one up there. That star-looking thing is actually Jupiter. So very cool.
Yeah. So just tell the kids. They won't know any different. Just say, hey, listen, the guy on the radio said the moon and Jupiter high up in the sky, so go and look at that, and maybe you get extra credit in your science class or something like that this morning. Right. There will be some extra credit floating around here. It is the regular Ray Gibson Show, but we're in a different location. We're going to, as I said, be broadcasting all morning long from the Dusit today here at the Guam Industry Forum 2018. We are in day number 2 of this so far, and I'll get a sit rep, if you will, from some of the guys that put it together. And one of the things that I'm going to have to get to learn today is exactly how are things pronounced, because I've been referring to the group as SAME. It's not SAME, right? Okay, so we'll get, somebody will do the splains on all of that, and we'll tell you what the overarching group is and what their goals are. There are several goals for this industry forum. Having participated in the past in industry forums, I got to tell you how delightful it is, and maybe it's the venue. Maybe it's the being here at the Dusit, and the fact that at 5 o'clock in the morning when I got here, they were already putting out the tea and the water and the coffee.
And I got coffee delivered. Isn't that wonderful?
Is there going to be? Is there chow? Is there crew food for us?
Well, I'll have to go and scout that out.
There's media badges or something like that, and maybe we'll see if we can big shot our way through some of those kinds of things. We are in salon number 2. If you're going to be coming around here this morning and you want to see what's going on and what this live broadcast is going to look like, there'll be a number of people in front of me. We'll go through the punch list as we get closer and closer to it. In fact, the very first guest this morning is going to be Lieutenant Tim Doms from the Civil Engineering Corps of the United States Navy. He's going to, as I said, give me a situation report, if you will, on what happened yesterday, some of the things that came out. In fact, one of the big stories that you were talking about here, we know that this year is already going to see significant spend. We know that there are already projects in the pipeline, stuff that's already being done. What is it, $400 and $510 million? I need to pause as I say that, because it's, you know, I remember back in the old days when we got word that there was going to be a $10 million project coming in from the Fed, everybody'd go crazy. It's $10 million whole dollars are coming here. And now we throw numbers out, $510 million worth of projects. Yeah, no problem. $510 million. Easy money, guys. We throw that around like it's nothing. I tell you what, it's real money that's getting spent out here. How about this? $495 million worth of projects that are in the pipeline, that are on the way. And then they were talking about the stuff that's up in procurement now. I guess $2.6 billion.
Badly needed good news.
And we're not done yet. There's still some more spend that's going to be taking place. So that I think is an interesting story. Of course, I was wondering, because I saw the governor's name on the list of speakers, and I was wondering if he was going to touch on the I'm not for the build-up thing, and I guess he did. Were you here yesterday?
I was here, yep.
Well, how did the crowd react to that? Did the cameras pull away from him and just get a crowd shot when he said that?
Respectfully,
no. Well, perhaps we'll spend some time talking about that. It was a little bit of time for us to do the pre-ramble on the program, and we will, as we have the opportunity, take phone calls at 888-8255. Again, that is 888-8255. Easy way to remember it is 888-TALK. 888-TALK is the way to get through if you've got some questions about what's happening around here, maybe some questions on some of the other stories that Kevin provided in the newscast just a few minutes ago. There is still activity, and regardless of what happens here at the Doucet and how happy the sold-out crowd is, there are still and some things that we've got to chew on out in the public sector. Governor Eddie Calvo, as anticipated, sent new legislation down there that would provide for expediting the furlough process, the furlough procedure. The paperwork that I had, say 90 days, and that meant that even if the governor today sent out the notices, it would still be some time before we can actually do anything with the furloughs that will affect government of Guam employees. So the idea now is to go back to the legislature, as suggested by the Attorney General, and have them make some changes, shorten that time period to just 30.
Right.
And maybe even less. I mean, it's 2018. Can we send a written notice in other than a piece of paper?
30 days, it says. And if it's passed, that means these 32-hour work week that he ordered, he issued the executive order on Monday, could take effect, possibly as early as April.
All right. And April, near as we can tell, if other activities take place, i.e. if maybe, 7 or 8 guys over at the legislature decide that they're okay with some kind of a revenue enhancement, even over a short period, that should help maybe bring us closer to alleviating the necessity for the furloughs. If the timing is right, has anybody discussed the timing and what days certain things need to happen in order to hold off on a furlough?
Well, if you talk to the governor's office, certain things needed to have happened a couple of weeks ago.
Well, that's even his critics have been saying that certain things should happen a year ago.
There are 2 sales tax bills, though, that are up. One today, a hearing today, and another tomorrow. So we'll see what happens with those.
The question that I had for you was, are we conflicted here in the times? The governor needs the legislature to go into session at 1 o'clock. We already had public hearings on those 2 measures scheduled. Is there a conflict in the time that would prevent, oddly, the legislature from hearing the salvation bills because they're hearing another bill?
Let's check the calendar.
Okay, you got that, and I'll take a look at some of the other things while he's looking through it. Governor Calvo also sent out yesterday further lists, if you will, enhancements of his revenue reductions that we all believe need to take place in the government of Guam, and there's a couple of interesting ones. What did the schedule say?
No conflict in time. 9 o'clock this morning is the hearing on the sales tax bill that's Joe San Augustine's sales tax bill. 1 o'clock is the special session. Okay, so 1 p.m. special session. So, but there's 2 bills that they're going over this morning, right, on the public hearing? No. Well, this morning it's Senator Joe S. San Augustine's sales tax bill. Tomorrow is the other sales tax bill that had been proposed
by Senator Estevez.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So today's the easy one, because Joe's is if we're talking about Joe San Augustine's bill, his is the thin one, and Estevez is the one that's a little bit more developed, a little bit more drawn out.
Actually, I'm wrong. Both of those bills are being heard this morning.
Both of the bills then are being heard this morning.
Estevez bill and San Augustine bill, both this morning at 9 o'clock.
So I'm not sure who all is going to be attending this hearing. My guess is it's going to be there ought to be a bunch of people going down there. The sales tax issue is an interesting one for sure, because of the nature of the nature of the way it would change how we do business with the government of Guam, how businesses do business with their customers, and maybe it's going to be good, maybe it's going to be bad. Those are why we have public hearings. So you're telling me so. I'm sorry, I get amused here. We're going to have 4 hours, 5 hours maybe at the top of it worth of public hearings on something as tectonic a change as implementation of sales taxes on Guam.
From 9 to noon, break for lunch, and at 1 o'clock back to consider that 32-hour work week, 30-day notice bill.
Suggestion. Let me just throw out my suggestion here is let's have a couple more hearings scheduled on these.
Aren't you getting tired of all these hearings?
Well, no, because it's an interesting subject. Look, I'm the guy that says sales tax is very, very interesting. I'd like to see the conversion. So if we have a 4% BPT now, we would convert that to 2% worth of BPT and 2% worth of the sales tax, right? So, and even that is going to get weird for some people. And I don't know what the impact is going to be on the Department of Revenue and Taxation. We better have a public hearing on that. So, but there's a couple of other things that are in Senator Estevez's bill. One of them is the internet sales tax, 6%. Which I would like lanceted out of the language, because I think that needs to be its own separate conversation. And then there's another one with the exemptions, and many of them are exemptions that I like. I've proposed. But I think those need to be taken out. I think those needed to be lanceted out so that for exactly the same reason. I think they need to be their own standalone discussions.
Well, you need to head down to the legislature.
No, I can't, because I'm going to be here. I'm going to be here big shotting with the guys over at the Guam Industry Forum. We'll get into that conversation. As I said, the governor also sent down his revenue cut plans, and some of them are going to rile people. There are already some people getting riled about the closing of the library on Saturday, and as much as I tried, I was listening and I heard some of the conversation and talking to people, and I really tried to be upset about it, but I haven't.
You haven't been to the library in a while.
I haven't set foot in the library in the last 10 years, and when I did, it was on a weekday. I recognize that there are things that are going on Saturdays, but you know what? It's to move them to the village libraries. And people need to get in touch with the village libraries anyway, so I don't necessarily have a problem with that. In fact, there's some of these things I don't have a problem with at all. Cancel buses to the private schools. Eddie, I'll take it a step further. Cancel the buses, period.
Half the streetlights?
The half of the streetlights aren't on anyway. It's already dark most of the places that you go. Most people wouldn't be able to tell that the streetlights were off in most of the places. I thought they already did that cost-cutting measure.
How about closing Rev and Tanks or terminating the lease?
Well, where will they go?
Yeah, and who would do the collection?
Where are all the people going to go? I mean, you just set out a bunch of coffee tables. You know what? Here at the Deucet, we'll have them come over here at the Deucet, because there's plenty of room and there's food and there's drinks.
I think the rent is a little higher.
I might charge a little bit more for it. The room, the big hall sits 1,000 people, 800,000 people, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, that's as many people that visit Rev and Tax every day just to get their driver's license done. I don't know about that. That one hit me as kind of screwy, because if we shut down the Department of Revenue and Taxation, or just kill the rental down there, I don't know where we're going to go for people to send the money that would support the government moving forward.
Would seem to be a problem.
A little cutting off the nose to spite the face here, is they're throwing out the baby with the bathwater. I'm sure there's a couple of other allegories I might be able to throw in. Hagetnya Pool and the Dededo Sports Complex. I don't know. That feels a little punitive, if you ask me. But I'm sure there's more. But it's hard for me to say, to be the guy on the radio that says that we've got to have, if we're going to be doing revenue enhancement, we have to do revenue cuts. If the governor comes and says, here's my ideas for revenue cuts, and I say you can't do that, then it puts us right back at square one. So I agree. These are tough times, and in tough times, we might have to do things like shutting down access to the Hagetnya Pool and the Dededo Sports Complex, or taking a look at the street lights and shutting off the ones that we don't need if we're not in a high traffic situation. So it'd be easy to argue with those points, of course, but still, what do we got? What do we got online? Who's doing it? Bob Kelly says the live video from the broadcast is cool. It's Skype. It's not as good as the video that we normally get in the studio. And I think legally I'm supposed to say that it's Skype that is sending the video, but the audio is coming through different means. We've got a whole different set of technologies. Mark is writing in. Heard on the news last night in regards to the cost cutting, the government will halt all park and rec activities, keeping the lights off, so no night games. That could hurt baseball yet again. And wait, there's more. I guess there's a little bit more on that. And of course, there's other guys that write in this morning, say Calvo's throwing tantrums left and right. Apparently, he's not used to being told no, and he's gotten it repeatedly from the legislature and Uncle Sam. So we get an idea of how everybody's feeling this morning, which side of the bed everybody woke up on.
The drama continues.
Uncle Carl is in. Yeah, Uncle Carl says cutting another 50% of the street lights will bring the remaining lights still up to 20%. have more home invasions, pedestrian and vehicle accidents. We had a couple of pedestrian accidents yesterday.
Yes,
Somebody died as a result of that. A little kid got clipped by a car as well, if I read that story right. Mom and Dad, time for the reminder. Let the kids know that most of the time the cars are not watching out for them. The drivers are not watching out for them while they're distracted and thinking about other things. So maybe a little bit more caution on the roadways as much as possible. It's going to be tricky if the buses aren't going to be picking them up either. Anyway, bottom of the hour, and about time for a look at headlines from the Guam Daily Post. Ladies and gentlemen, from the Dusitani, here is Kevin Kerrigan.
Half a day and good morning. Guam News Time here at The Point is 32 minutes past 6 a.m. We're coming to you live this morning from the Guam Industry Forum 2018 here at the Dusitani Convention Center in Tumon. In the headlines from the Guam Daily Post this morning, Governor Eddie Calvo calling lawmakers back into special session this afternoon for the purpose of authorizing the implementation of a 32-hour work week for GovGuam employees, and also to reduce the written notice requirement with respect to the furlough and layoff procedures from the current 90 days to 30 days. The governor, in his letter to the Vice Speaker, said an emergency situation exists and the public interest requires that the government institute aggressive cost-cutting measures to offset the $67 million projected revenue shortfall. The measure also seeks to authorize the legislative and judicial branches to reduce the work hours for their employees as well. Speaking of the judiciary of Guam, they announced yesterday some additional service cuts. Effective immediately, the judiciary is freezing all vacant positions, suspending 60% of all staff development funding, and implementing the Judiciary Energy Conservation Plan. Administrator John Lizama said the cost-saving measures are necessary based on the scheduled allotments, reduced allotments, to fund court operations for the remainder of this fiscal year. The cost-cutting steps include the suspension of 60% of all staff development funding, implementation of that conservation plan, a freeze on all vacant positions, and the submission of any further purchases of drug testing kits, ammunition, and law enforcement equipment for the Marshal's Service. An autopsy will be conducted today on a man who is listed as a John Doe. He was struck by a car early yesterday morning on Marine Corps Drive in Dededo near the Guam Home Center. The Guam Police Department arrived on the scene, found the pedestrian unconscious and unresponsive. The unidentified man passed away at Guam Regional Medical City several hours later. An investigation into the accident is now underway. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post.
iConnect time is 6:33. iConnect. Hop on over and receive a free gift, an automatic entry to win an iPhone 10 with every new 12-month plan from now until Easter.
At Micronesia Renewable Energy, values matter. So all of their solar energy systems come with guarantees and the most value. No shortcuts, all quality. It's giving you that solar energy system at the best price. It's using highly efficient solar panels with typhoon-proven racking, built by highly skilled local technicians, so your system performs and saves you money. It's total peace of mind all the time. Not all solar companies are created equal. For experienced quality solar, it's MRE. Call 632-2613. MRE, the smarter choice.
Subway has got your fresh choices for Lent. Sink your teeth into the classic tuna or indulge in the mouth-watering greatness of our seafood sensation, or try the tasty Veggie Max, a delicious vegetarian patty free of artificial colors and flavors. Visit any of our convenient locations today. At Subway, fresh is what we do.
How do you turn every day into cash back? With the Bank of Guam Visa credit card, cash back just got better. Get 1.5% cash back every month with every purchase, every pick-me-up, every filler-up, every Sunday dinner, every four-wheel spinner. Whatever comes to mind, even every stroll in the sweet sunshine. Everything your heart desires turns into 1.5% cash back every month. The Bank of Guam Visa credit card, the everyday card. Apply today. Call, click, or visit. Terms and conditions apply. Bank of Guam, member FDIC.
One of us has to talk, I think. 6:35 in the morning. Mike, am I supposed to do something here?
Yeah, we've got First Hawaiian Bank.
Oh, that one there. Portions of the program brought to you by First Hawaiian Bank. It all starts with yes.
For more than 40 years, we've managed our island's most precious resource, your health. Take Care's benefit plans allow members access to more than 120 medical providers, 40 dental providers, and 18 pharmacies in the region. Take Care's health plans ensure members in Palau, Saipan, and Guam receive the care they deserve. Our programs and wellness classes have proven results for our valued members, and our commitment to your health never been stronger. Take Care. Our island, your health plan.
Our island is at a crossroads. We need leaders willing to make the tough decisions to guide us through the roughest waters. The Gutierrez-Bordallo team understands that you cannot cut primary government services like health care. This is bad for our people, and it's bad for business. Cut 1/3 of unclassified political hires, and Guam Memorial Hospital would be set on the right track. Gutierrez-Bordallo will lead by example and do what is right for Guam. Please vote August 25th, Gutierrez-Bordallo.
I'm Carl Gutierrez, and I approve this message.
Quick look at traffic here this morning. It doesn't look like there's a whole lot that anybody needs to be worried about. Looking specifically in the Tumuning and Tumon area right now to see if traffic is getting busy around the Dusitani area. It is not. It will a little bit later on. My suggestion is drive all the way up to floor 4 or 5 if you're going to be coming in for the industry forum. Otherwise, traffic looks like it's building up, and all of the usual spots. Route 27, Marine Corps Drive, hooking up with Route 3. Definitely southbound traffic. And from the Archbishop Circle towards St. Anthony School. Looks like there's a little bit of traffic there that you need to just be aware of. Traffic headed towards Route 4 in the intersection of 4 and 10. Also getting a little bit heavy, and if there's anything else that we need to know about, the number is 888-8255. Wait a second, I just noticed there might be something going on. Did we change the access, the ins and outs into Big Navy? Did we do that? Is that... It going in outbound, right? Oh, it was yesterday?
Tuesday.
Okay, well, there's still some traffic, looks like, coming out of Agate and towards the back gate to Navy. Anyway, we'll talk about that. Like I said, if there's anything that folks need to know about, 888-8255. That's news and weather and traffic and everything right here in the Point.
Chili's has the seafood you crave, the flavors you love, at a great price with our 3 for Me Lent menu. For just $15, you can get a beverage, fresh salad, and a Lent-friendly entree. First, choose from a refreshing Coca-Cola, iced tea, or Heineken on draft. Then enjoy a fresh house salad right before you indulge in your choice of a mouth-watering entree, like our spicy shrimp tacos, savory Cajun pasta with shrimp, or our flavorful grilled ancho salmon. Chili's 3 for Me Lent menu for just $15. Available for a limited time. Chili's. More life happens here.
The Ray Gibson Show. News to fill your mind. Talk to get it out.
So one of my favorite things in the whole wide world as a boy broadcaster was the opportunity to get out of the studio every once in a while and see what the rest of the world looked like and what the rest of the world was doing. This is the very first chance that we've had to be able to do it on the Ray Gibson Show on the Point in this kind of new environment. And I got to tell you, I hope they all work out as good as this. All of the technology seems to be working all right, knock on wood, and all of the guests that we lined up seem to have been starting to form a line into the studio. Our makeshift studio here at the Dusitani. It is the 2018 Guam Industry Forum. And before we get too far away into it, I wanted to introduce the MC of the 2018 Guam Industry Forum. He's been on the radio with me before, Lieutenant Tim Doms. Good morning. Welcome.
Morning, Ray. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. How you doing?
Pretty well.
So Tim has gone native, if you will, and let me just describe that for you in a second. So I'm walking back in, got my coffee, got everything ready to go, and he's walking into the lobby at I don't know, just 5 minutes to 6 or something like that, and I said it's early. He says, "Whew, it took me a half hour to get here." So that's how you know he's gone. That's how you know the guy has gone native. Now where are you originally from?
Wisconsin originally.
In Wisconsin. So in Wisconsin, what is the average commute to get from the front door of your house to where you're going to work? What do you guys drive? 45 minutes, an hour, something like that?
if you're driving from my hometown to like Milwaukee, it'd be a 30-minute commute.
Yeah, something like that. So all of a sudden you hear on Guam, and guys, all the way from Big Navy to Timor, it's a half hour. Oh, that's so far to go, isn't it? Yeah. Well, state of the Guam roads and all of that, I can see how that might be a little bit tricky for you. So one of the reasons why we asked you in early is because you are the Navy guy. You hold a position with an outfit called I'm gonna say SAME, and I shouldn't. It's SAME, isn't it?
SAME.
You say all the letters.
All the letters.
Okay,
yes.
SAME, which stands for
Society of American Military Engineers.
Now, and you're a military engineer. You've got PE at the end of your name.
Yes.
Your folks must be very proud.
Yes.
And so, explain to me a little bit about your integration with SAME here on Guam.
Okay, so I was previously involved with SAME though before coming to Guam. There's 105 posts all around the world, and I was involved with the STEM camp there, the engineer camp that SAME puts on, the national camps. Then I came out here and wanted to be involved again, and so I got involved as the secretary for the post here.
Yep.
I did that for my first 2 years, and then I was elected to be the vice president this year, and finishing out.
Kind of fast-tracked him for growth, didn't he? He started as secretary, and he's now the vice president. Right. You know what happens if you don't go to a meeting? They're going to make you a president.
Right.
But John Robertson's got that drill now, doesn't he?
Yes, he does.
So from the purchase, also the MC of the event here today, which is great, which means that I don't have to do it. But from the perch up on the stage, what is your sense of all of the people? I mean, the sold-out show. There's 500 full chairs that you've got in the lobby in the hall out there. So. How are they receiving what they're hearing?
I think very well. A lot of the people I've talked to have voiced tremendous pleasure and happiness in seeing what's come to fruition.
That 2.6 billion number, when that came out, could you feel the room levitate a little bit?
Right. Everyone likes to hear the B at the end of the number. But it was very well received, and that's only the tip of the iceberg, really, too, with the $8.2 billion program in total.
Well, yeah. But so you heard me in the beginning saying we have to be a little bit more careful, treat those numbers with respect. But there's also and Jay can talk to this in just a second. We've talked about big numbers in the past, and the last time we had a lot of conversations about those big numbers was 9 years ago. And so when we hear those numbers, and we tend to take them a little bit with a grain of salt. But it's nice to hear that we've got $1 billion that's already in the raceway now. Yeah, and so of the $510 million worth of projects, and we've touched on this before, but for the benefit of the listeners that did not hear it, what's already either in near completion or at completion?
So what's at completion is there were a couple port improvement projects at Navy Base that were Mizu funded or Japanese funded to facilitate for the waterfront operations from the Marines. And so those were completed a while back. There's also
I'm going to use a word that I've only ever used once or twice before to try to sound like I knew what I was talking about. But when we're talking about port activities for the Marines, that's literal transport, isn't it?
Right, onload and offload of vessels for ships, for the personnel, Marines.
Because that's the way Marines like to attack things, is by the ocean. So we need that's a significant part of the training that needs to take place while they're here on Guam. And so that's some of the work that needs to get done, right?
Right.
Oh, score one for Ray. Right on. Okay. So what are the other projects?
So they also, there's some road projects and some utility projects. And that's a lot of the work that's going on currently too.
Right. So a lot of foundation infrastructure work before we actually start popping up big buildings and things like that, right?
The hidden infrastructure underneath the ground or at the surface level that you don't get a lot of, ribbon cuttings for, but big buildings are coming up.
There's PEs that are watching the show, listening to the program now. So just for the sake of satisfying our scientific curiosity, tell me a little bit about some of that stuff. I mean, as we might imagine, you're going in with sewer and fresh water and electricity. Right. What else are we bundling in there?
So like at the port, we also have steam or compressed air. And then, but like I said, sewer, wastewater, power are the key ones. We don't do a lot of natural gas here.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Well, I mean, the GPA's been talking about that for some time now.
Right, with the new power plant plans there. As right now, we don't pipe that, but they're also looking at doing district cooling. So it would be a water cooling system for the cantonment area on the Marine Corps base. There's different energy initiatives and renewable energy type sources.
Back up on that one. What did you call it?
District cooling.
Okay, explain it now for me.
Okay, so basically, it's like a school district, a grouping of area, the cantonment area.
Right.
Sorry. They centralize the cooling process, and so by moving that water around, they're able to cool multiple buildings from a central source, kind of efficiency.
Really? So air conditioning?
In a sense, right, yes.
But it's not one air conditioner per house. We've got it centralized, and then it gets piped into all of the other places.
Right.
There's an upside for the environment on that, right? Are we able to capture? There's water that we can then use as part of freshwater or wastewater or gardening and things like that?
Right. So not exactly like district cooling, but even geothermal or seawater air conditioning they've looked at. So basically it's taking groundwater or seawater from a lower level that's typically cooler and bringing that to the surface, cycling it through the coils for the cooling portions of equipment. And that, since you don't have to cool the water, it's taking the natural temperature and cooling the air that's passed over.
So, can I get one at my house? How do I? So we've got to put. That comes with the development now, doesn't it?
Usually, economy of scale
makes
the value and the benefits.
Now, will you be doing something along the same lines with power? Because it just seems to me if you're going to self-contain with the water that way, you'd look at opportunities to do that with power as well, right?
So power generation is expensive.
Yeah.
And so right now with One Guam, working to. As of right now, we receive power from GPA at the installations, and we do have some backup facilities and generators, et cetera, for critical facilities, et cetera.
Yeah.
But for the most part, we are receiving elements from GPA, but working on smart grid or microgrids, which is a way to be able to digitally control buildings and also to isolate small parts of the grid to make them self-sustaining.
Yeah, I'd like some of that at my house too, if you don't mind.
Right.
I always thought that it would be ripe for the conversation about kind of Walkman size power generation for individual districts. So you'd have your water generation, your cooling, wastewater, and your power generation kind of all in one place using smaller generating devices.
Right.
But as you say, economies of scale. You can do your own small one, or you can buy it for literally pennies from the Guam Power Authority and just augment as you need. You'd mentioned geothermal, and that's a topic that's always been of interest to me. I recall a few years ago, General Bice was talking about an active conversation to investigate the possibilities of using geothermal here on Guam. I think we're just outside or just adjacent to the Ring of Fire. Is there any possibility that you guys could punch a hole down and find something hot, send some steam down and make a turbine go round and round and make my electricity a penny kilowatt?
There's always opportunity. It just depends on the geotechnical layering and the undersurface as far as how that would work and how far they'd have to go.
But is anybody doing the science on it today that you know of?
Not that I'm aware of on Guam. Lots of other locations in CONUS that.
Never mind the CONUS. Bring them here. There's the Ring of Fire is next door to us, not next door to them. So let's see if we can get some of that going. What else took place yesterday? Give me a little bit of a situation report on how it went yesterday.
Sure. So opening remarks yesterday morning, kicking it off with John Robertson, welcoming everyone. We had representatives from Ministry of Defense from Japan and the government of Japan. Thanking everyone for being in attendance and the networking opportunities and building the relationships between Japanese and American companies.
Absolutely vital.
Then Congresswoman Bardallo had a video message relaying her support and her continued work to increase H-2B and foreign worker opportunities outside of projects connected just to the buildup. So that's work in progress. And as we mentioned earlier on the show, Governor Cobble made his remarks as well.
I thought it was his remarks were interesting. So he was excited about being here at the forum, but he still not necessarily has changed his position on the backing of the buildup. But I don't know that there was anybody in the room yesterday or anybody in the room that's going to be in the room today that could do anything to mitigate some of those things other than what SAME and the contractors and the lady at the court have already done.
Right. So he did voice, and I think overall received his remarks very well from the audience. as far as voicing his support for the forum and for the DoD partners. So I know Admiral Chatfield and the governor's office work closely together and have been, and all the other DoD partners on this issue, because it specifically impacts us, and we want to see it come to fruition, and in support of the One Guam effort.
Well, and thanks for saying that, because I wanted to touch on the One Guam effort as we wrapped up our conversation the last time that I had you in front of me, you and Tom. You have to remember that through all of this, there are civilian projects. So I don't know of the 495 million or the 510 or the 2.6 billion, what percentage of that is going to be going to local projects, but they are being worked on and worked through at this time.
Right. So through the DoD Office of Economic Adjustment, the OEA, another acronym.
Plenty. We got to put that, Jay. We're going to have to put that in the folder next time. Is all the different acronyms that get used at a forum like this.
Right. When you go to like INDOC school for officers, you get like a packet like an inch thick of all the DoD acronyms, and then it changes a year later.
Because change is good, remember?
Right.
So we're talking about all of the civilian projects, or projects that are lined up for the civilian community that are part of the buildup.
Right. So the wastewater treatment plant. There's a number of road projects.
Route 3, I was just talking about how heavy the
right
traffic
now.
is there, yeah.
Right, see that quite often. So those types of projects are things that DoD is putting forward to help mitigate the impacts to the outside of the fence from the increase in activity on the installations.
Well, what can we expect today?
Today is going to be a lot more drilled down discussion as far as how to do business on Guam, how to live on Guam.
Well, there are people been here all their lives need to attend a couple of those.
So it's going to be a very informative session especially for folks off island that came, for the Japanese and the mainland contractors that haven't worked on Guam before.
Right.
So help them be successful, and to help mitigate a lot of the questions that we would get normally through the solicitation process, to help make the solicitation process go more efficiently, because the timeliness of this program is one of the main priorities of our leadership in DoD.
I'm hearing a little bit more about that. As I said, it's been a while since we've had another industry forum. There seems to have been a long lag between, for whatever reasons, and I'm sure there's a variety of them that I can't remember, but for whatever reasons, the distance between the last time we had these conversations and where we are now. So there's a lot of people that necessarily need to kind of get back on track. I've had Jay Merrill sitting there for the last bunch of minutes. I kind of want to bring him into the conversation as well, because we're both of us veterans of industry forums over all of the years. How do you find this one? I mean, I know that you're part of the event staff and everything, but how do you find this one to be different than the ones we've done in the past?
Well, I think the most important difference is the fact that it's actually underway. Before, in the last series of forums, the word notional, the word of preconditioning, the words of that raised the level of concern about the tentativeness of the buildup was everywhere. It created a lot of anticipation that unfortunately was deflated.
Yeah.
The difference this time is that it is underway, and the military is doing everything it can to try and convince the contracting community that the timeline that they have set has to be met. There are obligations to our regional partners. There are obligations of a global security interest that have to be met. And so this forum was an effort to convince the contracting community that the time has come, that we have to get started, that the time is now for us to actually begin the work of turning shovels and making sure this buildup happens.
So you mentioned just a second ago, some of the geopolitical requirements, why it's important to have this plan to rotate Marines around the Pacific. In 2007, 2008, when we were first talking about these, it was a different kind of world. Has it changed all that drastically? It certainly doesn't seem to have changed enough so that we'd make a lot of changes to our basic strategy on the Guam buildup. What do you think of that?
Right.
I mean, we've got North Korea out there. There are other and China. They seem to have over the years developed a few more tactical opportunities. So is it the same strategic goal in 2018, 2019, 2020 as it was when we first started?
It's pretty similar. The repositioning is always something that the DoD is looking at and readjusting our plans and making sure that we're in the right locations strategically to be able to respond and be forward and have that presence to project power forward, one of the key pillars.
And so when you get to talking with the military guys, that's kind of the way we speak. But here on Guam, when we start talking about the buildup, it's the opportunities for the local businesses. And I know for Jay, that becomes important. That's why we do this industry forum, is to be able to get businesses lined up, businesses here lined up with national, international organizations, so that the benefits of this accrue to the local population.
Yeah, that was one of the key objectives of the forum, was to provide an opportunity for firms from Japan, firms from the U.S. mainland to come meet local contractors, meet local businesses, and begin the process of understanding what it's going to cost, how you're going to mobilize, what the logistics that are associated with actually getting started here. So one of the most important aspects of this event is as much the speakers and the information, but it's the opportunity to network and to make contact with future partners.
Is it as busy in the networking area, the vendor location? Is it as busy there as it is in the hall?
Yes, it is, and the mixers at the end of the evenings have gone long. And
lead me not into temptation. I can find it myself. I was this close, and I thought, well, if I'm going to go all the way into Tumon, I might as well do some running. So that's what I ended up doing last night. But I was this close to coming in and seeing what the mixer looked like, and who was mixing with whom.
Yeah. It's going to be very difficult for firms to mobilize from Japan and from the United States to come here and actually operate without a very strong local presence. And it was reinforced over and over again that this buildup is only going to happen if there is a close relationship and partnership between local companies and those that are attempting to come in from off island.
Are we still trying to, I don't know, bridge a little bit of a credibility gap, and I'm not going to say it's our credibility gap necessarily. It's just that there was, when General Leaf came out here, there were all kinds of people and all kinds of expectations. And I know that they tried to manage those expectations, but, everybody got dollar signs in their eyes and then found themselves sitting on inventory, sitting on property, sitting on improvements that they couldn't necessarily recover the investment from as quickly as they originally thought they would. Have you had those conversations with some of the people that you're seeing here?
Oh yeah, there's a very strong skepticism that exists with regard to the future of the buildup that I think conferences like this, and this one in particular, has done a lot to try and tamper, so that we now will be open to understanding the dire need to stay on schedule, that this timeline that has been set is going to be executed, and it's our job now to play as big a role in that as local businesses as we can.
People are listening and going, well, you know what, I heard the ads, I saw the publicity, and I didn't think I had time. I maybe have time. Is there an opportunity for them to sign up? Can they still swing by here and sign up, or is there a lurking opportunity upstairs to hang out with some of the guys?
Well, one of the nice problems is that we sold out.
Yes.
And so all of the seats have been sold. But it doesn't mean that they can't get access to the same information. It'll be posted on our website. All of the presentations will be available very soon after the event. So if you can't make it down today, the information's not lost, and they can go to www.guamindustryforum2018.com and get it all.
And we will do our best to bring you some of the voices and some of those encouraging thoughts as the program continues. We're closing in on 7 o'clock in the morning. You're listening to radio station KUSG. My name is Ray Gibson. On the way, Fox News Live. On the other side of that, the amazing, the incredible Kevin Kerrigan is going to get you caught up with all the big stories from the Guam Daily Post. That's all ahead right here on The Point.
Clarification on the president's trade announcement. Lisa Brady, Fox News. The White House says there may be carve-outs from the planned tariffs on steel and aluminum on a country-by-country basis.
This is all about national security. It's all about economic security.
Commerce Secretary Wilbur Ross telling Fox Business Network,
we need the end result. The exact way we get there is a little less critical.
Talk of possible exemptions seems to be a relief on Wall Street. The Dow down 79 points at the closing bell, but it had been down more than 300 points during the session, fueled in part by concerns about the resignation of the president's top economic advisor. That also fueled more talk of chaos within the administration. Fox's John Decker is live at the White House.
The departure of Gary Cohn came less than a week after White House communications advisor Hope Hicks announced she was leaving. White House spokeswoman Sarah Sanders denied that there's any chaos in the West Wing.
If it was, then I don't think we would be able to accomplish everything that we've done. The economy is stronger than it's been in ages. ISIS is on the run, the remaking of the judiciary.
Since the beginning of the year, 6 top White House staffers have resigned. The president at a press conference yesterday said that staff turnover in any White House is not unusual. Lisa?
John, air travelers bearing the brunt of the latest nor'easter with nearly 3,000 flights canceled around the country. There's a mixture of heavy snow and icy rain stretching from Philadelphia to Maine with strong winds to follow, raising concern about more power outages. Breaking news from Austria. Reports of a knife attack on the streets of Vienna with several people seriously injured and the suspect still on the loose. One Austrian news website says it's believed the man randomly attacked pedestrians near the capital's famous Prater Park. Fox News, fair and balanced.
This is a test to find out if you know it all when it comes to children. Time starts now. Name one of the leading killers of U.S. children age 1 to 13. What's the best way to protect children in a car crash? At what age and size should a child start using a booster seat? Where can you find the answers to these questions?
Car crashes are one of the leading killers of U.S. children. Many of those deaths could be prevented by making sure that kids are in the right seat for their age and size. Don't assume you know it all when it comes to car seats for your child. Go to safercar.gov/the-right-seat and know for sure. That's safercar.gov/the-right-seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
California Governor Jerry Brown says U.S. Attorney General Jeff Sessions should apologize to the state for a federal lawsuit over sanctuary policies.
And he shouldn't come out to a political show to try to engage in these tactics.
The federal lawsuit challenges 3 California laws that bar police from asking about citizenship or taking part in immigration enforcement.
The Attorney General vowed to fight sanctuary laws he says are unconstitutional. In a speech to the California Peace Officers Association in Sacramento, Sessions said federal law is the law of the land.
I would invite any doubters to go to Gettysburg or to the tombstones of John C. Calhoun and Abraham Lincoln.
Sessions also blasted Oakland Mayor Libby Schaaf for warning illegal immigrants about a pending ICE raid recently, saying she put the lives of law enforcement officers at risk. Schaaf has said she broke no laws. In Washington, Rachel Sutherland, Fox News.
This sounds like the plot of a new kind of scary movie.
Over the last few days, Amazon Alexa users have taken to social media to say the virtual assistant has been randomly laughing, letting out a cackle without a prompt. Some saying they hear it making noises after they've gone to bed. One tweeting, "In bed about to fall asleep when Alexa on my Amazon Echo Dot lets out a very loud and creepy laugh. There's a good chance I get murdered tonight." Another tweeting, "Unprompted, my Alexa just said, sure, I can laugh, tee-hee, and I'm moving out now." Amazon responding to the creepiness, telling The Verge, "We are aware of this and working to fix it." I'm Kristen Goodwin, Fox News.
A surge in hiring in February. U.S. companies adding 235,000 jobs in the latest private survey from payroll processor ADP. And again, Wall Street pairing today's losses, but talk of trade tariff exemptions getting credit for that. The Dow down 82 points. The NASDAQ finishing higher. Lisa Brady, Fox News Radio.
Chili's has the seafood you crave, the flavors you love, at a great price with our 3 for Me Lent menu. For just $15, you can get a beverage, fresh salad, and a Lent-friendly entree. First, choose from a refreshing Coca-Cola, iced tea, or Heineken on draft. Then enjoy a fresh house salad right before you indulge in your choice of a mouth-watering entree, like our spicy shrimp tacos, savory Cajun pasta with shrimp, or our flavorful grilled ancho salmon. Chili's 3 for Me Lent menu for just $15. Available for a limited time. Chili's, more life happens here. For over 55 years, Community First has served our island as a full-service financial institution. And now, we're proud to introduce the new Community First Student-Run Credit Union, open in Manila on Route 10, Guam's first student-run financial institution, which means it's operated by college students like us, ready to serve all our members, existing and new. We're just down the road from UOG and GCC. Community First Guam Federal Credit Union, now open in Manila. This credit union is federally insured by NCUA.
How do you turn every day into cash back? With the Bank of Guam Visa credit card, cash back just got better. Get 1.5% cash back every month with every purchase. Every pick-me-up, every filler-up, every Sunday dinner, every four-wheel spinner. Whatever comes to mind, even every stroll in the sweet sunshine. Everything your heart desires turns into 1.5% cash back every month. The Bank of Guam Visa credit card, the everyday card. Apply today. Call, click, or visit. Terms and conditions apply. Bank of Guam, member FDIC.
Special things only come around once a year, and it's time for fish fans to celebrate the return of Wendy's Cod Filet Sandwich. Wendy's uses the gold standard for fried fish, wild-caught Northern Pacific cod, breaded with panko crumbs to a light crisp. Add a new creamy dill tartar sauce and crisp pickles, and you've got the fish sandwich many say is the best of the bunch. Get yours today at Wendy's, located in Tamoning, Veragata, Agana, Dededo, and Naval Base. Wendy's Cod Filet. Now that's better.
Water. It covers nearly 3/4 of our Earth, from vast oceans to millions of rivers and streams. We're all concerned with protecting our world's water, but none is more important than the water you and your family drink and use throughout your home. A Connecticut water treatment system can improve your water so that your family is using the best water in the world. Connecticut, for refreshing ideas on water.
American Water Tech. Smarter water. Better water. Call American Water Tech at 649-2301 or email info@americanwatertech.com.
Half a day and good morning, Guam. News time here at The Point is 7 minutes past 7 a.m. this Thursday morning. We're broadcasting live this morning from the Guam Industry Forum here at the Dusatani Convention Center in Tumon. I'm Kevin Kerrigan. Here's a look now at some of the top stories from the Guam Daily Post. The governor has called the legislature back into special session at 1 o'clock this afternoon to consider his bill to shorten the required notice for any furlough action to just 30 days from 90 days now. The governor issued the executive order on Monday requiring the implementation of a 32-hour work week for all GovGuam employees to deal with the projected $67 million revenue shortfall this fiscal year. But the current law requires a 3-month notification for any furlough action. If his proposed bill passes today, GovGuam employees could face reduced work hours and reduced pay as early as April instead of June. Before the 1 o'clock special session this afternoon, a public hearing is scheduled this morning at 9 on 2 revenue bills, one from Senator Joe S. San Augustine, the other from Senator Fernando Estevez. Each of those measures would impose a 2% sales tax on all retail sales and services. The Estevez bill also includes a 6% proposed tax on internet sales. Guam Regional Transit Authority Executive Manager Enrique Augustine remains the head of GRTA despite a December request for his resignation from Mark Calvo, Chief of Staff for Governor Calvo. Augustine was asked to resign after the administration tried to intervene last year to help the Transit Authority maintain bus services. The move came shortly after a November oversight hearing that exposed several busing issues. Augustine initially agreed to step down, said Calvo, but he later reneged, claiming that the GRTA board and not the Chief of Staff had the authority to relieve him. In addition, at Tuesday's oversight hearing at the legislature, Ray Tapazna, a former Adelup staffer, alleged that the Chief of Staff told him to resign in 2016 after bringing to light similar concerns. However, Mark Calvo, the Chief of Staff at Adelup, denies ever telling Tapazna to resign. It's a bold-faced lie he told the Guam Daily Post. We'll have more news after this.
Subway's got your fresh choices for Lent. Sink your teeth into the classic tuna or indulge in the mouth-watering greatness of our seafood sensation. Or try our tasty Veggie Max, a delicious vegetarian patty free of artificial colors and flavors. All our subs are served on freshly baked bread paired with vegetables, cut fresh daily in restaurants, and sauces that are sure to excite your taste buds. Visit any of our convenient locations today at Subway. Fresh is what we do.
We have those moments in our lives that happen unpredictably. The unexpected instances that we did not really need. Now you can count on us to stay well, Papa to live well, Papa to stay well, making sure you stay well. Oh, I'll lift you up when times are low. I'll see how far we'll go, and stay well.
Stay Well Insurance. See how far we'll go.
News time at the point is 11 minutes past 7 a.m. It's day 2 here at the Guam Industry Forum 2018. More than 500 engineers, contractors, and others from Guam, Japan, the Philippines, and the States are attending this sold-out event. They've come to learn about the business opportunities that are opening up as a result of the $8.7 billion in projects that will see nearly 5,000 Marines and their families relocate from Okinawa to Guam in the coming years. On the schedule today, presentations on the regulatory, environmental, and archaeological requirements for construction projects here on Guam, including the dangers of unexploded munitions. Tomonori Ono, a professor of Japan's National Defense Academy, will speak. Also making presentations, Sean Arnold, the NAVFAC Cultural Resource Manager, and Walter Leon Guerrero, the administrator of the Guam Environmental Protection Agency. Logistics issues also on the agenda as the pace of the buildup picks up. Port Authority of Guam General Manager Joanne Brown will speak, and Vince Paris, the Chief of Guam Customs, will also be speaking. This afternoon, Greg Massey, the administrator of Guam's Alien Labor Processing Division, will be here, along with Bert Johnson of the GCA Trades Academy, Dr. Mary Okada and Dr. Robert Underwood from GCC and UOG, respectively, along with Shirley Mabini, the director of Guam's Department of Labor. Finally, an autopsy will be conducted later today on a man who is listed only as a John Doe. The man was struck by a car early yesterday morning on Marine Corps Drive in Dededo near Guam Home Center. Guam police arrived on the scene, found the pedestrian unconscious and unresponsive. The unidentified man passed away later at Guam Regional Medical City. Investigation into the incident is now underway. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post. Ray with the weather.
It says partly cloudy skies today with a slight chance of showers. Northeast winds 10 to 15 miles an hour. Daytime highs will be in the upper 80s tonight. Partly cloudy with a slight chance of showers. Easterly winds up to about 15 miles an hour. Expected lows in the mid-70s. Sunset tonight, 6:30 studio time. On the point is 7:12.
Relax, enjoy, and be greeted by the spectacular view of Hagåtña Bay when you visit the Point at the Sheraton Laguna Guam. Gaze into the beautiful sunset as you unwind to the music of Philip Garcia and Natasha on Wednesdays, Mama Shar and Nina on Thursdays, Philip Garcia and Louise Muña on Fridays, and Jack Larimer on Saturdays. Open daily from 8 a.m. to 11 p.m. Happy hour from 5 to 8 p.m. with all cocktail drinks for $7. Receive a discount when you present your SPG card. Call Peter Yaban at 646-2222 for reservations at the Point at the Sheraton Laguna Guam Resort.
Yeah, buddy. Portions of the program brought to you by King's Restaurant, serving Guam favorites to families for over 40 years. King's Restaurant, always open and always local.
In illness and in wellness, Calvo's Select Care is health care that is there for you. That's why over 80% of the Guam medical community places their trust and insures with us. We offer our members wellness and fitness programs for a healthier lifestyle and provide a comprehensive medical network on and off island to help members from unexpected illnesses. Contact Calvo's Select Care today for more information.
The Ray Gibson Show. Any speaker, anytime. Watch and listen live on thepoint.gu.
And you can also see us on Facebook. The cool thing about going to the Facebook feed is that you can interact. There's interaction going on the Facebook side. Kevin, would you like to see what some of that interaction is right now? Would you like to find out what people are, what they're saying in these various interactions? Let me see. Our friend Deanna Palmer says, "Holy crap, Ray." She says more, but I just like that part there. So, wow, it's, one of my first jobs was a receptionist at KUAM, and your dad, Bill Gibson, had the morning radio show. I learned so much about Guam from the show and being a part of the media. Now it's you, and I appreciate you and the show. Fondly remember the early 80s. Keep it up. Thanks. I remember the early 80s, too. I remember when you were a receptionist at KUAM all of those years ago, because my old man was doing the morning show when Jerry Roberts would go on vacation, when he'd take off for a little bit. I was there doing weekend overnights and anything else they let me do in order to stay in the building and learn about radio. Also, what have we got here? Got a note from James Howard. Wanted to know if I could get my guest to comment on Guam's current financial crisis and share any insights or solutions. You know, I'll do that as we get through. But understand that a lot of guys here may be looking at this financial crisis kind of in the same way that I do. This is just a momentary blip. There are possibilities for it to get worse, much worse, but right now it's in the realm of the political, unfortunately, and that's the way it is. Hey, Beck Salazar is back online. Who else is watching the program? Derek Munya Kanata. Hey, Mr. GM, nice to have you along for the ride here. Ramona Nakamura, Amberson Gill. I'm hungry when I see that name there, Bobby Shringy, who's probably going to be lurking around here a little bit later on as well. I see Tracy's on, and Eunice, and Ed Barbosa, and Antilu Sanchez is there, Natalie Kanata. Boy, just a kind of a who's who of people. You can talk amongst each other while I'm otherwise doing some other things here. It is that time in the program where we like to take a look at some of the things that are happening in the world of finance. There's the finance music bed. This is amazing. I can't even see Mike, but he knows instinctively where we're headed. S&P 500 closing down by a point and a third. 27.26 is where they're going to start tomorrow morning. The NASDAQ at 73.96, up by 24 points. Big winner today. And the Dow Jones Industrial Averages shaves off 82, almost 83 points to close at 24,801. The Nikkei at 165. And there's guys here. In this industry forum, the guys that are associated with the Mamizu spend, they watch this number. They watch what happens with the Nikkei. They watch what happens with the yen, because there are certain things. I'm sure there's a little arbitrage going on between what we've committed to in yen versus what we'll get out of it when we convert the yen to U.S. dollars. And obviously, you want to be able to maximize your investment. It's the same concept as when you and I get on the airplane, and how much Royce chocolate can I buy with $20? How much can I buy with my 2,000 my two 1,000 yen bills? The yen today trading at about 106.03. Looking at West Texas crude this morning is trading at $61.38, $66.96 for a barrel of the Tapas crude. That's the stuff that goes into drinks that our cars will eventually take. So not very good news on the oil front, and not very good news really on the equities markets. They don't look all that great. Bonds are looking good. You know, they've got some green growth there. The Bloomberg headlines: Bitcoin. Ooh. You a Bitcoin guy?
Not at all. No,
not at all.
Don't touch it.
Do you understand it?
Not really. No.
Okay, neither do I. It's okay. Just freely admit there are.
If I can't hold it, forget it.
You know, there's some people that have never watched Game of Thrones. It's the same when it comes to Bitcoin. There's all these people go, yeah, I've heard of it, and I don't know enough about it to throw any money behind it. Well, not a good day for Bitcoin today. The crypto exchanges have been told by the Securities Exchange Commission that they now must register with the agency, and they are now, Bitcoin now trading at $10,000, below $10,000. But, you know, hey, that's still good for the guys that bought it at like $250, $300. Amazon, aware that Alexa is scaring people with seemingly random laughter. Okay, Google. And it woke up my phone. But perfect. Bill Gates says, get ready, bear down. We're going to have another financial crisis. It is a certainty. And U.S. Steel CEO This is after now the President of the United States, Donald J. Trump, says we're going to be putting a tariff in there. He says we're reopening an idled plant and bringing back 500 jobs due to the Trump tariff. So maybe it isn't going to be all bad. It would be interesting to talk to some of these guys. You know, in the next talk segment, I'll have a guy. His name is Marvin Fisher, and he is the president-elect of the SAME. And so he's one of these guys, you know, PE at the end of his name, but can you imagine what he must know at a global level and maybe be able to shed some light on conversations about, you know, should we be concerned with additional tariffs from the White House?
Trade war?
Trade war, the Pacific Partnership, the Trans-Pacific Partnership that we're no longer a part of. So I don't know. There could be some good conversation between here and there. 7:19 in the morning, and one of the things that we like to do at this time is to hear from the amazing and the incredible Jerry Roberts. It's time for this morning's Extra Point.
What if I told you that every day of your working life, you are auditioning for a role? Would you think that Jerry has taken too much sun to the bald head? Let's get after it right now on the Extra Point. You might say, what do you mean by auditioning? Hey, I already have the job. Okay, but if you're a frontline worker, and you're looking to move up a notch and get closer to one day being a supervisor, do you maximize every moment when you're in front of your boss? If you're called in to explain something or make a presentation, do you know the information so well that you smoothly and impressively get through it, making mental bells go off in the boss's mind that you're someone to watch, someone to give some extra responsibilities to because you can handle them? Or you're a manager, and it's necessary to give each member of your team some constructive feedback. Do you go over your notes and prepare what you want to say so the meetings yield the results you're after? Or do you just jump in and wing it? I've done it both ways. And when I didn't follow a plan, when I didn't prepare, I often forgot a point here or there I wanted to make. If you've acted in a play and somebody forgets an important line, you may get past it and recover okay. But the impact on the audience isn't exactly what you were hoping for. It's the same with giving feedback or handling workplace conflict. The overall results may not be as good. Salespeople ought to be nodding right now. Every good and even great salesperson I've ever known has done this. They've blown off practicing a presentation and ended up blowing a big opportunity. And every really insightful salesperson can tell you with near precision the very moment when they've lost deals. How about senior managers? Should they rehearse their lines? They might need it more than anyone, because often they're trying to sell ideas or a vision or trying to instill confidence in the team when company finances are in trouble. I've seen a couple of leaders wing it under those conditions. Everybody smiled and pledged to hang in there during tough times. Then, after the meeting, quietly let friends know they were available if something opened up. TV and movie actors rehearse, and when they get in front of the camera, can make a mistake and just read the line again, 5, 10 times or more, until it's perfect. You're live. You get one chance. If it's important that you deliver your lines with impact and get results, practice. Imagine the reactions you'll get and respond to them. Then practice again. Your results should see a big improvement. That's the Extra Point. Get out there and make something good happen today. For 93.3, I'm Jerry Roberts.
As I said, the incredible Jerry Roberts, and that's a good one. That's for everybody that has to go out and do a sales pitch from one time or another. You know, I used to go on as a boy broadcaster. I'd go on sales calls. You know, I'd go out with the account executives, and I would just be the guy. You know, as a star power, as the guy that's on the radio that's going to be doing your vocal reads. And in the last couple of years, got more involved in sales, and so had to develop my own PowerPoint deck. And you better believe that I would practice that, even you know, a dozen times, and even just before the call, go in and practice it again to make sure that you don't miss any of those points. And speaking of the points, tell you what, we're going to take a break here, and on the way back, let you know what's going to be happening out on the roadways.
Wendy's welcomes the new Smoky Mushroom Bacon Cheeseburger, featuring smoky, sautéed portobello mushrooms, melted Asiago cheese, crispy applewood smoked bacon, and crunchy fried onions atop a juicy beef patty. For those craving the same great taste, Wendy's Smoky Mushroom Bacon Potato is also loaded with sauteed portobello mushrooms, cheddar cheese sauce, and crispy applewood smoked bacon. Here, for a limited time, get a delicious Smoky Mushroom Bacon Cheeseburger and Smoky Mushroom Bacon Potato today. Wendy's. Now that's better.
It's time for traffic, and yeah, it's starting to look like Thursday morning out there. Traffic, Marine Corps Drive southbound, around John F. Kennedy and Kmart. We're beginning to see it begin to slow down through there. Santos Hill, Weston, and then all the way up to Marine Corps Drive. Traffic that is turning south on that roadway is in for some kind of delay. I wonder. Now, there's not much you can do about it because you're just going to be getting into slower traffic when you get up there. I was going to say maybe we could swing that light so it goes up a little bit more often. Not much can be done on Route 3 as you make your way towards GRMC and the intersection there with Marine Corps Drive. That has been a mess in the last couple of days and continues to be a mess now. Looking through some other hot spots, traffic towards the 8, 10, and 16 intersection from around the post office is beginning to busy up, and not much happening at the intersection, but as you go south towards Agania, it is starting to busy up as well. Nothing that is going to stop you, it just might slow you down. And Route 10 from about Allegarbus store into the Payless area is starting to see a little bit of build up there. That's traffic right here on the point.
For more than 40 years, we've managed our island's most precious resource, your health. Take Care's benefit plans allow members access to more than 120 medical providers, 40 dental providers, and 18 pharmacies in the region. Take Care's health plans ensure members in Palau, Saipan, and Guam receive the care they deserve. Our programs and wellness classes have proven results for our valued members, and our commitment to your health never been stronger. Take Care, our island, your health plan.
Security Title is honored to join in sponsoring Ray Gibson on The Point. I'm Kim Anderson of Chalampago, and this is where I start my day, listening to the voices of our community and sharing thoughts about issues that affect all of us. It all boils down to our people and our land. Protehi Itunomo, protect your land. When it comes to your family land, remember to call the professionals at Security Title, just like you call Ray Gibson in the morning.
Let's talk about that on the radio then, because we got a couple minutes between here and the headlines. Ray Gibson and Mike's side enjoying this broadcast with Kevin Kerrigan, who is right next to me here at the Dusitani. We're broadcasting from the Guam Industry Forum, and I'm proud. I feel like a member of the family now. They've given me my credentials.
You have arrived.
I have my media pass. Now, what will this get me? Will because it did.
Cup of coffee.
I know they had a mixer last night.
A hearty handshake.
Right. I'm okay, but will this get me into like the golf thing? Do you know?
I don't think so.
Well, we're media guys, and so that's what we're doing here this morning. And a few people, very interesting folks, that we're going to be lining up in the conversation next. One of them is the president-elect of SAME, and I thought, well, that's cool. Bringing the president of the club, and then our brain said, no, he's the global guy. He is of overall SAME, like the entire world and all of the different posts they have. So he's going to be with me in a few minutes, and of course John Robertson is going to be talking about what's going to be happening here today. But as you point out, yeah, there's star power today, huh?
Yeah, I mean, this afternoon we've got Dr. Robert Underwood, UOG president. Mary Okada will be here. Sam Mabini at the Guam Department of Labor. Bert Johnson, GCA Trades Academy. And Greg Massey, the administrator of the Alien Labor Processing Division of Guam, talking about labor force issues.
Right.
A big.
Well, that was before apparently before we ran out of money in the government. That was the big deal, right? Was what are we going to do about getting some H-2Bs out here?
A major concern.
And oddly, maybe it's just me, and my fascination with things that happen very quickly and very rapidly. But it seems to me that once we got the lady at the court, Frances Tydenko Gatewood, involved, her conversations with guys at the USCIS, and
open the door a
some
little
of
bit.
those, some of those problems managed to evaporate. And my understanding is that the deadline has come and gone for any kind of protests
And
from
I
them.
did speak with Greg last week, and he said that the applications are pouring in now.
Yeah. So, but are the approvals pouring in? That's the tricky part. So we know that as soon as they open the application window, as soon as they open that, everybody in the world chimed in and sent their applications in, and unfortunately hit the ceiling, hit the cap on that, bam, right there. But the good news is, because of language that was written into the NDAA, Guam is exempt from those caps for federal work and the military buildup.
Well, the NDAA allows for 4,000 applications for military buildup related H-2B visas only. So there's still an issue which the governor talked about yesterday, and that is for projects that are not directly related to the buildup.
But that's where those applications are going now.
The applications are coming in for both right now. But that's where the district court's decision comes in. It hopefully should free up eligibility for applications coming in for construction companies and managers that want to hire H-2B workers for non-military related projects.
Which is vital, because at the place where you and I spend our mornings, we don't have a reception area yet, and frankly, that's the reason why. We've had the money to do our reception area for months and months and months, but every time I call the contractors, they say, no, I'm sorry, I'm busy. I got 5 guys, and they're all on the other side of the fence working on some of those projects, and the guys that he does have that might be available are likewise working on projects that will make them a whole lot more money than just my piece of crap reception area. So that's kind of the big deal. As a reporter for the Guam Daily Post, guy, what are you looking for today? Because your regular daytime job is going to be in here later on. So what are some of the things that you're
special hearing this afternoon, and then the hearing this morning over at the legislature?
So you're not staying here? Who's coming? Who's going to be from the Post that's going to be here today?
Many different people.
Many different people are going to be here. So what kind of assignments have you given them? What stories do you want them to pick up on?
Not my privilege to give those assignments, but but you're
the tallest guy in the room. What are you talking about? I thought that was the way it worked in the newsroom, print business.
Yeah, but there's so much going on today, so. We will be here in force.
Okay, as we've already pointed out, there's going to be a lot of star power, both locally and otherwise.
But I'm going to the legislature.
That's where some of the big news is going to be, and some of the headline stories on the Guam Daily Post that we're going to talk about right now. It is time for headlines from the Post. Here's Kevin Kerrigan.
Half a day and good morning, Guam. News time here at The Point is 31 minutes past 7 o'clock. We're coming to you live this morning from the Guam Industry Forum here at the Dusitsani Convention Center in Tumon. In the headlines from the Guam Daily Post, Governor Eddie Calvo announcing deeper cuts in government services are now under consideration in the wake of the legislature's rejection on Tuesday of his latest tax increase bill. A statement from Adelup yesterday blaming lawmakers for failing to pass any of the revenue bills that the governor has proposed to offset the projected $67 million shortfall in funds this year. Among the options on the table now are canceling bus services to private schools, disconnecting half of the streetlights on island to save power costs, terminating the leases for office space of various government agencies like the Department of Chamorro Affairs and the Department of Revenue and Taxation. Cuts to everything are on the table, said the governor, and additional dire service cuts may be necessary if the legislature doesn't pass a bill very soon. The governor has called the legislature back into special session at 1 this afternoon to consider his bill to shorten the required pardon me, notice for any furlough action to just 30 days.
As you might expect, now's a good time to plug in a commercial. We'll let Kevin catch his breath and come right back.
GPSI Guam is a professional services company that is a registered contractor for the federal government. They're an SBA 8A and HubZone certified SDVOSB, providing program project management, administration, technical support, logistics, and commodities. They welcome the more than 800 companies and participants attending the 2018 Guam Industry Forum who are interested in how the U.S. and Japanese governments are collaborating in constructing facilities on Guam. Contact GPSI if you need assistance in meeting your small business subcontracting goals at 671-477-3058.
Here at the Guam Industry Forum this morning, word that nearly $1 billion worth of projects are now underway to prepare for the arrival of nearly 5,000 Marines and their families to Guam from Okinawa. Will Bodra yesterday afternoon, he's the director of the Guam Program Management Office for NAVFAC. He spoke to the forum. He said there are currently 9 projects that have already been completed at a cost of $510 million. 8 additional projects have been awarded or are under consideration, totaling another $495 million, and 6 additional projects worth a combined $2.6 billion are in the solicitation process now. The forum wraps up tomorrow. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post.
It's 7:33, and that's iConnect time. Connect longer for less with iConnect's push-to-talk mobile and internet plans.
We have those moments in our lives that happen unpredictably. The unexpected instances that we did not really need. Now you can count on us to stay well, pa-pa-da to live well, pa-pa-da to stay well. Making sure you stay well. Oh, I'll lift you up when times are low. I'll see how far we'll go, and stay well.
Stay Well Insurance. See how far we'll go.
How far are you going to make it to work today? I don't know. I'm looking at the traffic right now on the Gizmo and build-ups in all of the usual places. My goodness, it must be 7:34 on a Thursday morning. I've got traffic slowing down from the front gate of Anderson Air Force Base all the way to St. John's in Tamuning because it's Thursday. Everybody going in the same direction. It'll slow down a little bit more as you get in front of DPW and John F. Kennedy High School. And I don't know what the big deal is. It's not like Mezclados is open for breakfast or anything like that. Traffic coming out of the Tumon area is also beginning to slow down, but and in fact I'm seeing a tiny bit of a slowdown right here in front of the Dusit. I think there's a lot of the 500 people that are supposed to be here are all coming at the same time. That means we got to get the Korean guests that are driving their own car. We got to get them out of the parking lot here in a couple of minutes. What else do you need to worry about? Marine Corps Drive, like I said, 8, 10, and 16 is not busy, but roads leading into and out of it are. Southbound into the Capital District is slowing down a little bit. While you're in the Capital District, you might see a little bit of a break in traffic, but as you get closer to the intersections, things are definitely going to slow down. Towards Sumai, it looks like there might be a bit of a backup there, and it looks like outbound. Do me a favor, if you are at the head of this line of traffic that I'm looking at outbound in Agate, call 888-8255 and let Mike know what that is so I can alert the other motorists. 7:35, that's right now traffic on the point.
Half a day, Guam. Come out and celebrate UOG's 50th anniversary by participating in the Charter Day 5K run. Sunday, March 11th. Showtime 5 a.m. Go time 6 a.m. Come run the 5K and conquer the infamous Marine Lab Hill. This year's theme, green is the new gold. So wear something green and run for the gold. You can register online at supportuog.org or sign up at Hornet Sporting Goods.
Presented by Coast 360, Raymond James, Guam Football Association, Jones & Guerrero, Title Guarantee, National Office Supply, and Copy Express.
For over 55 years, Community First has served our island as a full-service financial institution. And now, we're proud to introduce the new Community First Student-Run Credit Union, open in Manilao on Route 10. Guam's first student-run financial institution, which means it's operated by college students like us, ready to serve all our members, existing and new. We're just down the road from UOG and GCC. Community First Guam Federal Credit Union, now open in Manilao. This credit union is federally insured by NCUA.
Oh, I could totally do a riff on You Be Ill Into This. Remind me later. That's what I want to do. 888-8255 if you know what that traffic problem is down northbound in Agate. Otherwise, we are here broadcasting from the Guam Industry Forum. My name is Ray Gibson, and it is a thrill to have in front of me a number of people that represent the organization that put this all together. Start with the SAME local president. His name is John Robertson. Good morning, P.E. How you doing? It's the pleasure is always mine when I get some time with you, because you seem to know a lot about what's going on and have been kind of at the forefront, not just of this industry forum, but the forefront of one of the bigger crises that was occurring just before this and just before the other major crisis that is in front of the government of Guam, and that is the labor shortage that we have.
That's correct. As you know, I've spoken about it quite a lot. I've written about it, and I'm so happy that the judge ruled in our favor. Looks like we have smooth sailing ahead.
Okay, now when I talk about smooth sailing ahead, I like to think in terms of smooth sailing for me in the private sector with my private projects that are going on. But there are other projects, obviously, that are in the hopper for under the federal government and for this Guam buildup.
That's correct, and the contractors have two paths to go. One is with the NDAA of opportunity, where there's 4,000 workers can come in for military projects.
So clarify that for me. I was under the impression that there was no cap at all for military projects.
The NDAA specifies max 4,000.
Oh, I see.
Okay. Now, there's some restrictions on that. It's military only, but there's also a phrase in there about the possibility related projects being able to come into that program. But the definition of that is vague. So we'll find out once we start putting in petitions for the H-2B visas.
People are going to get tired of hearing me say it, but as I said, I've got this reception area that I need to get constructed. How do I make that related to this Guam buildup? Is there a way to do it? Is there a creative way I could write that out?
There probably is a creative way to write it. That's what it's all about.
And can you point to me the vendor later on that is more than likely to take me up on the offer?
Well, the contractor is looking for work, obviously, and until just recently, until now, some contractors just can't bid work because they don't have the workforce. But that's soon to end.
Well, we were talking, Kevin and I, as well on the subject here, and there's plenty enough work that needs to get done on either side of the fences. So we'll move forward with that.
The other path I just wanted to mention.
What's that?
That's the path that we gained through the class action lawsuit, and where the federal judge ruled in our favor and directed the government, that's the Homeland Security and the Immigration Service, to start issuing visas again to Guam contractors and others that require H-2B workers.
Well, so we've got the applications that have gone out.
Yes.
When do we start seeing some approvals? When are we going to start getting the rubber stamps on those?
Well, there's a process, as you know, for all these things, and so contractors are already applying, and they're in various stages. You see in the newspaper advertisements for workers. That's one step.
Yeah.
They have to be advertised for 30 days. Then they go to further steps. Part of that is here in Guam. Part of it is in the Philippines, if that's where the workers are coming from, and part of it is in San Francisco. So we just have to see how it plays out.
When do you expect we will see some of the first approvals?
Oh, it'll probably be another maybe 60, 90 days.
Okay, all right. So how does that figure into some of the timelines? And maybe that would have been a question for Tim a little bit earlier. How does that factor with some of the timelines on projects that are working right now?
It'll be late, but at least have them on the way as something to work with. But it's all been uncertain for the last couple of years.
Well, to a point where we've got some of the certainty, and the good news yesterday is there's significant dollars that are being pledged, and significant work that is now in negotiations and procurement.
Right, that's correct.
What was that number again? Was that a big moment when they started talking, when Boudreaux was talking about $2.6 million? I asked him earlier, could you feel the room levitate a little bit when that number came out?
I felt levitated. I don't know about the rest of us.
Well, you start to feel a little bit of vindication too.
Sure.
From all of this, we've been talking about the Guam buildup for it feels like 20 years now. I remember the day I got the press release. In fact, I remember where I was. It was we were at the Hyatt for some other conference or convention that was going on, and somebody had. This is how long it was ago when they texted me a message here on my phone. It wasn't a WhatsApp. It wasn't something that came to me in a regular smartphone genius piece of software. It was just a regular text that said that they had approved the what we called at the time the Marine buildup, the Marine move to Guam.
Right.
And so a lot of time has passed in there, and we've seen people come and go through the process, and we've conducted a number of industry forums. As I mentioned, it's been 9 years, though, since the last big one.
That's correct.
And so here we are with this one, and it's sold out. There's another piece of vindication for you in there.
Absolutely.
Yeah?
We're very pleased at that. The organizing committee has been working very hard for the last 6 months, and I would say for the last 1 month, sort of total dedication to get this thing going. And all of the planning worked out. We have some very fine people, some people on the committee, plus a couple of consultants that are working with us. They're professionals in organizing events such as this, and they have done a super job. We have, I'd say, spared no expense to make it a good one. For example, the audio-video system that we set up, we did not go low bid on that. We went to the high bid, because you see the results of it on the floor out there.
Well, I was talking with Jay Merrill last hour, and he said those presentations are going online.
Oh yes, yes.
So it's a sold-out event, unfortunately, and that means it's not as though you're going to be able to just walk up to the Deucet and find a spot in the hallway and start listening to things. But the presentations will be made available online, so you're not going to miss anything by not being here. Other than, and this is the other important part here, this is a great networking opportunity. I was just looking over the guys on the exhibitor map, and these are some great companies, the ones that I know, and then there's another couple of dozen that I've never heard of before.
Right. It's great networking opportunity, and that's the intention, and especially networking between U.S. and Japanese firms, because the Japanese have made a tremendous assistance financially to this program, 1/3 of the cost. So they want something to go back to Japan, obviously, and that can happen through their contractors working here, and they send a lot of that money back to Japan.
Yeah, I was wondering about how much of that had they already given us. I remember there was a significant deposit of Mamizu that didn't go into my bank account. I'm pretty sure it didn't go into your bank account, but we've got it in somewhere in the treasury around here. What was that number?
I remember back about 12 years ago or so, they deposited $1 billion into the special fund for the buildup. And I don't know whether they returned it because of the delay or whether they kept it. I suspect that Mr. Obama probably kept it.
I would have kept it. I would have sunk it into something that got some interest out there somewhere. And,
sure.
Because
Absolutely.
all of those, the interest is going to be needed, I think, in order to deal with the change in the cost of the currency, which I remember, when we were deep into the weeds on this a few years ago. I mean, that was one of the topics of conversation. You'd sit down and watch where the Nikkei closed at and watch where the yen was trading at today, because that would make a difference in what we were able to build.
Right.
And so, but all of a sudden we stopped talking about that because it didn't look like it was going to happen. But here we are talking about. And thanks so much for the time. Did you want to add anything before I switch the mics with Eric?
Well, we've had a very good first day. It was kind of a long day, a very, very packed program, except we did have breaks for networking purposes. But we had some great speakers, especially Will Boudreaux and Captain Turner. They laid out the program ahead, which is very important. I think a lot of the contractors, that was the main content they came here for. We had the governor speaking yesterday. He gave a very fine speech. He provided full support to the military buildup, in spite of his reservations.
I was going to say, that's not what the newspaper said here. He said he likes the industry forum, but I don't know that his position has changed so much, even given what's been done over at district court.
Well, he never mentioned the district court thing. He mentioned the other side of it. The government people never mention what the industry does for them. I don't know why that is, but they don't mention that side of it. They mention the NDAA and these other various things, and But I'd have to say the governor has worked very hard on this issue. He made multiple trips back to D.C. He cornered President Obama and President Trump in Honolulu earlier last year. And he got some positive feedback from the president as well as Chief of Staff Kelly, but then it sort of fizzled. And from my understanding, other people in the White House on staff, they were very much opposed to it. They put a kind of a blanket cover over this immigration issue. And they don't understand the situation in Guam. They don't try to understand it. But I understand that the governor had some pretty strong words when he was meeting with the people at USCIS.
Despite any of what might be considered rhetoric from yesterday.
But the forum is going very well. We completed yesterday, and people seem to all be very happy. People come up to me and say how pleased they are with it. And this is the first time it was organized by the private sector. The previous ones were organized by the government with some private sector help.
See, I just realized what's going on here. He's laying the foundation here. He's trying to look good in front of his bosses with the SAME. So John is the boss of the Guam SAME. And as I said, we've got Eric, you're more of a regional guy, right?
Yes, he's regional.
Yeah.
He is responsible for Alaska, Hawaii, Guam, Japan, Okinawa, and Korea.
So let me spend a couple of minutes with him and get that other side of the ocean perspective. As you pointed out to me, there's a number of other places, other territories and states not necessarily connected with CONUS here. So tell me a little bit more about your role with SAME.
Thank you, Ray. I appreciate the time on air. I am the regional vice president for the Pacific. We have SAME posts in all the places that John mentioned, to include a small chapter down in the Philippines as well. And we're out there spreading the engineering gospel, so to speak, and bringing people together. I mean, a lot of this, what we do as SAME is relationship building. We do professional development. The bottom line is resiliency for the security of our United States.
Well, I'm really pleased for John, with this being a sold-out event. I mean, it's a big draw, obviously, with the military buildup, the Guam buildup, but still in all, this is a big industry forum, and it's sold out. It's in the biggest hotel that we've got here on Guam and the biggest ballroom that we have, so there's a lot of attention on this. Is this something that SAME, or SAME as you say, does on a regular basis, or is this, John, kind of an outlier out here on Guam?
No, I think this is something that we do in different places around the world every year. For example, we're going to have another industry forum at Yokota Air Base in Tokyo, Japan in April, where we're bringing together folks who are very interested in mainland Japan projects and military projects at the various U.S. bases in Japan.
Well, get me caught up now, because I just, I got my blinders on, so all I see is the Guam buildup with the Marines. Are there other, and are they related to this Guam buildup that you're working through?
Well, I could digress into many different storylines along that line. There are some, there is a buildup at Iwakuni Marine Corps Air Station in Japan. We have lots of projects going on at all the bases across the world, and we are always trying to tie together the Japanese, in Japan, obviously, the Japanese and U.S. contractors to develop those partnerships like they're doing here, and educate them on what we're doing at each of the bases. That's not very clear. But, okay.
But suffice it to say that there's a lot of other activity that is going on, a lot of other activity that's taking place in this region. And so, as I said, I'm wondering how much of this is also related to the buildup that we're doing here. The Iwakuni projects that you were talking about, are those also 3 MEF deals?
Those are related to the DPRI, yes, sir.
Okay, and so quick question for John. Is that come out of the same pile of money, or do they have a different pile of money on their side?
Well, it comes from the Defense Department. broadly, but then there's the different buckets to keep money in for different parts of the world.
All right. I think I have a better understanding now here. Thanks. I appreciate that. And so we do events and things like this. And as you say, you've got one coming up in Yokota pretty soon. What are some of the other things on your calendar in your, I want to say, neck of the woods?
Well, the Honolulu Post is also sponsoring a Pacific Industry Forum in early May, and then a number of us will be heading towards Marv Fisher's location for the annual Joint Engineer Training Conference. So we're here for bilateral relationship building, we're here for professional development, we're here for mentoring and helping the younger engineers and even the youth of the world to become engineers and architects in the related fields. So this is what we do all the time, and I've been working mostly at the local level for the last 20 plus years.
Now, a quick question: if there's a kid that's listening, if mom and dad driving the car or getting ready to go to school that has an interest in engineering, first steps, what do you suppose they ought to be doing?
Call John. And they held a very successful STEM camp here in Guam. There are SAMI National hosts engineering and construction camps every summer that they can apply to go to, and there's just a variety of opportunities. And maybe the local post, wherever you are, the local post has folks who go into the schools and helps mentor at an engineering science fair, or go judges projects, or goes in. We have electricians who went in with all these cool gizmos and taught the kids what electricity is all about. So there's a variety of different things that can happen.
And it's one of those things that touches us about everywhere we live. We've just recently, and when I say recently, I mean in the last 10 years, developed a kind of a pre-engineering lineup of courses at the University of Guam, because we felt that one of the most important things was we know we're not going to be able to necessarily give everybody the tools they need here to get an engineering degree, but we can lay that foundation for them at the University of Guam, and then they can go off to a big college in the States and nail their PE from there. What's that, John?
Well, I just wanted to mention that our organization, SAME Guam Post, we have funding for scholarships. We pay out $20,000, sometimes $30,000 a year in scholarships to deserving students, and the application process begins in November. So some of the young people in high school that are interested in going to college, we would appreciate their responding with an application, and we can perhaps get them a scholarship.
I'm too old for that now, right?
I don't know.
never too late to start something new. Thanks. Let me. He's been just the politest guest of all, just sitting in front of me for the last couple of minutes. And so John is the local SAMI, and then Eric is the regional vice president of the SAMI. And this is the guy that's going to be the boss of all of the SAMI before too much longer. The president-elect is Colonel Marvin Fisher. It's a pleasure to have you here, Colonel.
Well, good morning. It's a pleasure to be in Guam.
First trip?
This is my first trip to Guam. I'm a retired Air Force guy, but I spent all my time kind of on the East Coast and going to Europe and the Middle East and never made it to the Pacific. So
I'm waiting for my producer to chime in to see if he can hear the Texas in your voice.
Actually, I was born and raised in Iowa, so I don't say y'all too often.
All right. Well, which one is the Texas? Are you the Texas?
I live in Dallas.
Oh, you live in Dallas.
I do live in Dallas.
So we don't have quite the adopted Longhorn sound yet.
Right.
Yet. All right. So move forward. So as I was talking with Eric a second ago, this is not something that is unusual for SAMI. Programs like this or forums like this are quite common, aren't they?
It's not unusual, but I will tell you from being here for the last couple of days, this has been just a fantastic event. You know, SAME is a 501(c) nonprofit organization. We have 30,000 members, 105 posts, and 61 student chapters across the world. Various posts have different levels of activity, but I got to tell you, what they're doing here in Guam is probably one of the more impressive posts that I've been to in many years, and I've been around a lot of the posts in SAME.
Well, the guys, John was talking about some of the people that he's working with to set this up, and they do international marathons restaurants and things like that. So they're used to the idea of bringing in a number of people, maybe with different language skills, and kind of putting them all together. The goodie bags are nice. I saw the goodie bags and the badges and all those things. So it's a top-notch professional job that we've got. But the real crux of this is not the goodie bags. It's in some of the speakers and some of the things that they're saying. So as an observer with the PE at the end of your name, what are your thoughts?
No, I think it's been fantastic. You know, there's many things that we try to get involved with, but the main mission of SAME is to try to bring folks together that are interested in the issues and challenges in the infrastructure business that affect our national security. We made a big change about 5 years ago in our mission. It used to say national defense. When you talk national defense, you kind of really just talking about military installations.
Sure.
When we switched it to national security, though, it's really opened our aperture to what we can really bring in and talk about and help facilitate. And we want to be the ones to help facilitate these conversations, help people collaborate, bring the right individuals in, whether it's military, public sector, private sector, or academia, to come and talk about these issues and figure out creative solutions to get good answers.
So you were talking about how the aperture has opened up a little bit wider, and now we're talking about security. So it's not power, water, wastewater, air conditioning, all of that stuff. Tell me about digital infrastructure.
Could be that as well. So it's not only having resilient installations, but you have to have good roads. You have to have good schools in your communities. Our push to get more kids to go into engineering is a national security issue, if you really think of it that way.
Yeah.
And so all of these things that you see our post doing today, trying to get kids interested at a young age, help produce scholarships, get them into our business, is all important for our nation because it helps keep us kind of that technology and engineering lead that we've always enjoyed for many years.
So I'm talking with Colonel Marvin Fisher, the same president-elect, so you're going to be taking office officially, I guess, at the end of somebody else's term. So as part of that, is there, I'm a member of the ARRL, Amateur Radio Relay League, NRA, all of those kinds of things, and there is always a push to be able to open up local chapters and local organizations. You've already got one here, obviously, but is there a push from your perspective to create more posts nationwide and worldwide?
Not necessarily to create more. What we want to make sure is all of our posts are viable. So in some cases, we're actually closing some posts where there's just no activity and no interest. And then every year, we probably have one or two maybe new locations where somebody wants to stand up and do something. To understand, this is an all-volunteer organization.
Yeah.
So people volunteer to do this. This is on their time, and so it's great. We get people that are passionate about this, guys like John and his team that just do so much, and it really does impact the community.
I wish I had more time with you, and maybe we'll see if I can bump off one of the other guys and bring you back for the rest of the conversation, Colonel. It's a pleasure. We're KUSG Hagåtña, The Point, broadcasting from the Guam Industry Forum. Fox News Live is next.
Live from New York, The Fox Report.
And Lisa Brady. The U.S. Attorney General goes to California and throws down the gauntlet on sanctuary policies that have a safe haven effect for illegal immigrants.
Federal agents must be able to do the job that Congress directed them to do.
He announced a Justice Department lawsuit. Fox's Jessica Rosenthal live in L.A.
Lisa, Governor Jerry Brown mocked the lawsuit against the state, arguing that Sessions is lying when he says California's new sanctuary policy laws are unconstitutional, and he got pretty personal.
I would assume, but this is pure speculation, that Jeff thinks that Donald will be happier with him, and I'm sure Donald will be tweeting his joy at this particular performance.
No such tweet yet. Brown said it's just red meat for the base and a political stunt. The state attorney general says the 10th Amendment allows them to stipulate how the state cooperates with the federal government on immigration, and that he looks forward to the court fight. Lisa.
Jessica, the second nor'easter in less than a week, making a mess for air travelers. Nearly 3,000 flights canceled around the country. Amtrak suspending part of its Northeast Corridor service. The storm system stretches from Philadelphia to Maine. Fox's Brian Yenes in Quincy, Massachusetts, which had hundreds of high water rescues last Friday.
The big concern here is flooding. This area is under a moderate coastal flood warning. The good news is, though, it's not expected to be nearly as bad as it was last week.
This time, inland areas could get over a foot of snow. New tariffs on steel and aluminum are coming, but White House spokeswoman Sarah Sanders says there may be exemptions.
We expect that the president will sign something by the end of the week, and there are potential
potential carve-outs for Mexico and Canada based on national security.
Adding that could apply to other countries, too, and that eased some concern on Wall Street. The Dow down 82 points, but that's after shaving much heavier losses during the session. On the Fox Report, fair and balanced.
We first opened about 10 years ago. We were small, just a few of us, but it was exciting. I always dreamt of having my own business. It was kind of slow at first, but things started picking up. We had big plans. But in our wildest dreams, we never thought we'd have this much work. Yeah, with so many businesses caught off guard by the storm, Reed Waste Management has never been busier.
What will become of your business after a disaster? Nearly 2/3 of businesses aren't prepared for an emergency, and 40% of businesses that experience a disaster never recover. Make an emergency plan now, before it's too late. For a free online tool that helps you develop an emergency plan to keep your business up and running should disaster strike, visit ready.gov/business. Brought to you by the Federal Emergency Management Agency, the American Red Cross, and the Ad Council.
The former student accused of killing 17 people at a Florida high school 3 weeks ago is now formally charged with 34 counts in all, including 17 counts of murder. The grand jury indictment announced today.
The mass murder suspect, 19-year-old former student Nicholas Cruz, remains locked up in solitary confinement for his own safety. But we now have obtained daily jailhouse observations of Cruz by corrections officers. They include: inmate avoids eye contact, looks downward with blank stare, appears to be coherent while speaking to his attorneys, had a family visit per command staff, and inmate requested to read a Bible. In Miami, Phil Keating, Fox News.
Cruz could face the death penalty if convicted, though prosecutors haven't said if they'll seek capital punishment, and his public defender has said he would plead guilty for life in prison instead. A man who went on a stabbing spree near a famous park in Austria's capital remains on the loose. At least 3 people reported seriously injured in Vienna. Florida residents wouldn't have to fall back and spring forward anymore if state lawmakers have their way.
Florida's state legislature has approved a bill that would allow Governor Rick Scott to ask the U.S. Congress for Florida to observe daylight saving time year-round. Such a move would keep Florida permanently sprung forward in order to maximize sunny days. Supporters say it would benefit the state's vast tourism industry, as visitors would have more daylight later each day. Others just think adjusting clocks twice a year is not needed anymore. Daylight saving actually begins this coming Sunday and lasts through November 4th. In Miami, Eben Brown, Fox News.
Coca-Cola is planning to try something new, alcoholic drinks. Not in the United States, though. It would only be in Japan, at least for now. In New York, I'm Lisa Brady on Fox News Radio.
Chili's has the seafood you crave, the flavors you love, at a great price with our 3 for Me Lent menu. For just $15, you can get a beverage, fresh salad, and a Lent-friendly entree. First, choose from a refreshing Coca-Cola, iced tea, or Heineken on draft. Then enjoy a fresh house salad right before you indulge in your choice of a mouth-watering entree, like our spicy shrimp tacos, savory Cajun pasta with shrimp, or our flavorful grilled ancho salmon. Chili's 3 for Me Lent menu for just $15. Available for a limited time. Chili's, more life happens here.
How do you turn every day into cash back? With the Bank of Guam Visa credit card, cash back just got better. Get 1.5% cash back every month with every purchase. Every pick-me-up, every filler-up, every Sunday dinner, every 4-wheel spinner. Whatever comes to mind, even every stroll in the sweet sunshine. Everything your heart desires turns into 1.5% cash back every month. The Bank of Guam Visa credit card, the everyday card. Apply today. Call, click, or visit. Terms and conditions apply. Bank of Guam. Member FDIC.
Water. It covers nearly 3/4 of our Earth, from vast oceans to millions of rivers and streams. We're all concerned with protecting our world's water, but none is more important than the water you and your family drink and use throughout your home. A Connecticut water treatment system can improve your water so that your family is using the best water in the world. Connecticut, for refreshing ideas on water.
American Water Tech. Smarter water. Better water. Call American Water Tech at 649-2301 or email Info@AmericanWaterTech.com.
Relax, enjoy, and be greeted by the spectacular view of Hagåtña Bay when you visit the point at the Sheraton Laguna Guam. Gaze into the beautiful sunset as you unwind to the music of Philip Garcia and Natasha on Wednesdays, Mama Shar and Nina on Thursdays, Philip Garcia and Luis Muñoz on Fridays, and Jack Larimer on Saturdays. Open daily from 8 a.m. to 11 p.m. Happy hour from 5 to 8 p.m. with all cocktail drinks for $7. Receive a discount when you present your SPG card. Call Peter Yaban at 646-2222 for reservations at the point at the Sheraton Laguna Guam Resort.
As we journey through the new year, we here at APL continue to find ways to better deliver our island's resources with innovative and cost-effective solutions, lending our helping hands by carrying your freight safely from the U.S. mainland or anywhere in our global network. We humbly honor the opportunities to continue to work and connect with you and your business. We are APL, and we are here for you.
Half a day and good morning, Guam. News time here at the point is 7 minutes past 8 o'clock this Thursday morning. We're coming to you live this morning from the Guam Industry Forum 2018 here at the Dusitani Convention Center in Tumon. I'm Kevin Kerrigan. Here's a look now at some of the top stories from the Guam Daily Post. The governor has called the legislature back into special session at 1 o'clock this afternoon to consider his bill to shorten the required notice for any furlough action to just 30 days from 90 days now. The governor issued an executive order Monday requiring the implementation of a 32-hour work week for all GovGuam employees to deal with the projected $67 million revenue shortfall. But current law requires 3 months notification before any furlough action. If his proposed bill passes today, GovGuam employees could face reduced work hours and reduced pay as early as April instead of June. Before the 1 o'clock special session, a public hearing is scheduled this morning at 9 o'clock on two revenue bills, one from Senator Joe S. San Augustine, the other from Senator Fernando Esteves, each of which would impose a 2% sales tax on all retail sales and services. The Esteves bill also includes a proposed 6% tax on Internet sales. Meanwhile, the governor yesterday announcing that additional deeper cuts in government services are now under consideration to make up for the revenue shortfall in the wake of the legislature's rejection on Tuesday of his latest tax bill. Among the options on the table now are canceling bus service to private schools, disconnecting half the streetlights on island to save power costs, suspending operations at government-run recreational facilities like the Hagåtña Pool and the Dededo Sports Complex. Cuts to everything are on the table, said the governor. We'll have more news after this.
Subway's got your fresh choices for Lent. Sink your teeth into the classic tuna or indulge in the mouth-watering greatness of our seafood sensation. Or try our tasty Veggie Max, a delicious vegetarian patty free of artificial colors and flavors. All our subs are served on freshly baked bread paired with vegetables, cut fresh daily in restaurants, and sauces that are sure to excite your taste buds. Visit any of our convenient locations today at Subway. Fresh is what we do.
$7 meal from Circle K. Get your choice of 2 Nathan's all-beef hot dogs or a half-pound Nathan's all-beef footlong, a big wrap bag of chips, and any size Polar Pop. That's a giant deal of a meal, all for only $7. Circle K. Take it easy.
News time here at the point is 11 minutes past 8 a.m. The Guam Industry Forum 2018 opening here at the Dusitani Convention Center yesterday. Will Boudra, director of the Guam Program Management Office for NAVFAC, spoke to the forum yesterday afternoon. He said nearly $1 billion worth of projects are now underway to build the Marine Corps base here. There are currently 9 projects that have already been completed at a cost of $510 million. 8 additional projects have been awarded or are under consideration, totaling another $495 million, and 6 additional projects worth a combined $2.6 billion with a B are in the solicitation process. The forum wraps up here tomorrow. Finally, the annual District Court Conference kicks off today at the Hilton Resort. Members of the judiciary and the Guam Bar Association are gathering for this year's conference, with the theme being Doing Business on Guam. The event features a panel presentation on small business issues and taxes, ethics, and reports from the Ninth Circuit Court, U.S. Attorney's Office, and the Federal Public Defender's Office. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post. Ray here with the weather.
Yeah, man and boy in business on Guam for all of these years. Maybe I ought to attend one of those functions on doing business on Guam. I might actually learn a thing or two. Could get crazy in there. Today, there's partly cloudy skies in the forecast. There's a slight chance of showers as well. Northeast winds blowing up to about 15 miles an hour. Highs in the upper 80s. And tonight, about the same thing. East winds up to about 15 miles an hour, and overnight lows in the mid-70s. Sunset tonight at 6:30. Sunrise tomorrow morning ought to be rolling in about 6:33. Coming up on the program, we'll hear from Will Boudra and Captain Dan Turner as our broadcast from the Guam Industry Forum continues right here on The Point.
At Micronesia Renewable Energy, values matter. So all of their solar energy systems come with guarantees and the most value. No shortcuts, all quality. It's giving you that solar energy system at the best price. It's using highly efficient solar panels with typhoon-proven racking, built by highly skilled local technicians, so your system performs and saves you money. It's total peace of mind all the time. Not all solar companies are created equal. For experienced quality solar, it's MRE. Call 632-2613. MRE, the smarter choice.
Family Finance has been serving the people of Guam since 1959, and they'll continue to be there for you in the years to come. Whether you're looking to get a personal loan for that summer vacation or paying off those long overdue bills, Family Finance has got you covered. Apply for a personal loan from $1,000 up to $3,500 by calling Family Finance in Hagåtña at 475-4545, Upper Tuon 647-5626, or in Dededo 633-4473. Family Finance has been serving the people of Guam since 1959.
Portions of the program brought to you by King's Restaurant, serving Guam favorites to families like yours for over 40 years. King's Restaurant, always open and always local.
Triple J says yes. Zero down? Yes. 1.9% financing? Yes. Easy trade-in? Yes. No payments for 90 days? Yes. We'll have you saying yes, too, to these amazing deals. Like our big boy truck, the Ford F-150 at only $217 per paycheck. Or the top safety pick Mazda CX-5 Sport at only $194 per paycheck. Or turn heads in the Mazda 3 Sport or the sleek and sophisticated Kia Soul. Both for only $129 per paycheck. Visit us online at triplejguam.com. Some conditions apply. See dealer for details. Triple J, customers first.
We'd also like to thank First Hawaiian Bank, where it all starts with yes, for making this broadcast possible.
We have those moments in our lives that happen unpredictably. The unexpected instances that we did not really need. Now you can count on us to stay well, Papa, to live well, Papa, to stay well, making sure you stay well. Oh, we'll lift you up when times are low. I'll see how far we'll go and stay well.
Stay Well Insurance. See how far we'll go.
Portions of the program also brought to you by Security Title, when you absolutely need confidentiality in your real estate transactions.
GPSI Guam is a professional services company that is a registered contractor for the federal government. They're an SBA 8A and HubZone certified SDVOSB, providing program project management, administration, technical support, logistics, and commodities. They welcome the more than 800 companies and participants attending the 2018 Guam Industry Forum who are interested in how the U.S. and Japanese governments are collaborating in constructing facilities on Guam. Contact GPSI if you need assistance in meeting your small business subcontracting goals at 671-477-3058.
As we journey through the new year, we here at APL continue to find ways to better deliver our island's resources with innovative and cost-effective solutions, lending our helping hands by carrying your freight safely from the U.S. mainland or anywhere in our global network. We humbly honor the opportunities to continue to work and connect with you and your business. We are APL, and we are here for you.
The Ray Gibson Show. Call now, 888-TALK. That's 888-8255.
It as the record playing, so that means it's almost time for me to talk and talk our way into this next segment here from the Guam Industry Forum. My name is Ray Gibson. Mike side with Kevin Kerrigan, who has been doing news and headlines from here for all morning long. I'm going to give him a break from the microphone in the next couple of minutes and spend some time with a couple of guys here and try to get a little bit of a sense of what the power hierarchy is of the Guam side of the build-up. So we start talking about, who's got the juice in this town, and near as I can tell, the guy that's got the juice is the one that got to say we've got $2.6 billion worth of projects that are up for, I'm going to use air quotes here, consideration. And so let me introduce to the listeners this morning a couple of guys. Will Boudra, who is the director of the Guam Program Management Office, and open the microphone, say hello to everybody. Okay, I can't hear you real good, so let's try that again. I want to make sure, because you might say $2.6 billion again, and I want to make sure everybody can hear it.
Good morning, Guam.
Much better, much better. And on this microphone over here is Captain Dan Turner, who also has a PE at the end of his name. Do you have any initials at the end of your name, Kevin? We were talking about just all kinds of stuff, and so we're handing out business cards. My business card says managing partner, because that's my actual title, but we're a small radio station group, so you can add sales manager, morning guy, and chief engineer to all of that, and they kind of eyes perked up on the chief engineer side. So your certification it's not a certification, it's a professional entitlement, PE,
professional engineer,
right? And so I am a CBT. I'm a certified broadcast technologist, which is the certification you've never ever heard of, and so it's cool. You send the guys over at my group's $85 a year and a copy of my FCC extra permit, my extra license from the FCC, and they say, okay, that's good enough for certification, and so they gave me one. But like I said, it's not anything anybody's ever heard of. Even PEs, I'll give them the business card with it, and they'll go, what does that stand for? Never mind, it's not as big as yours. But let me get back into this. So at this time, though, we would normally be doing a sports broadcast. I got a guy comes in and reads me sports scores, and we talk about different teams and different games and things like that. And I know you're unprepared for a sportscast, but I understand that there is a golf tournament that's going to be taking place here soon.
We're actually playing together.
You guys are in the same cart?
Yes, we are.
Okay, awesome. So what's your handicap?
Over the moon. I played this past Saturday just to get warmed up for this week, and I realized that it had been way too long since I'd been out. Shooting left, shooting right, short, long.
You're Navy. I mean, it's the Air Force guys who are the ones that
I'll let you say that.
What's the old line? There's a ton of different jokes about that. Where that's why it's important when the Marines get here, because the Marines need to have a firing range so that they can train, and the Navy, they need to have a harbor so they've got someplace to put their ships, and the Air Force needs a golf course. So that's about the way it was always described to me. What are you saying there, Dan?
Again, so I will let you say it.
That's all right. Let me spend a couple of minutes here with Will Boudra. And we decided that he gets to go first because he's the guy yesterday that was talking about $2.6 billion that is up for consideration. That's give me a little bit of a timeline. So,
well, that is a projection over the next 2.5 years of actual solicitations for contracts that we will be sending out for bidding by contractors from our offices in Honolulu.
Okay. And I've had a chance to talk with the NAVFAC guys out in Honolulu at a time where they were significantly busy, and I'm kind of curious, as it feels like there is a bigger uptick now in activity. Are they even busier there now than they were, say, a few years ago?
Well, few years is relative. I'm not sure what you're referring to, but there was
2012.
2012 was very busy.
Mm-hmm.
Then there was a pause, if you will. Slowdown in activity, revisiting the move and the size of the move. That was resolved. In 2015, we got our record of decision from Secretary of the Navy to proceed. And so we are moving out, and we awarded 4 major contracts late summer and spring, which Captain Turner is now executing here in Guam. And we have these 10 other contracts lined up, and they're on the horizon. They're going through the process of preparing the bidding documents, and they will be coming out. And that's the reference I made yesterday to the $2.5 billion worth of work.
Are they already on the acquisition sites? Can people see what they are already, or have we not yet gotten there?
Well, those that we awarded late summer and early fall are with Captain Turner to execute here in Guam. So there is activity. There are contractors who have contracts and who are mobilizing or have already mobilized and have started to work.
Okay, well, I'm going to come back to you in a couple of seconds, but Captain Dan, if you would, give me a little bit more of a higher altitude view, because there's a couple of NAVFACs. There's the Hawaii NAVFAC, and then there's the Guam NAVFAC. So when it comes to the Hawaii NAVFAC, what are the responsibilities of that unit?
Well, so Mr. Boudreaux is with NAVFAC PAC, and so as he mentioned, so they do the awards there. Then there's a handoff. So I'm the commanding officer for OICC Marine Corps Marianas. We are really focused on DPRI construction here on Guam.
Too many acronyms.
Yeah,
slow down any acronyms.
The Marine Corps buildup here on Guam. So I'm really overseeing that construction effort. So just to complicate matters, maybe even a little bit more, there's a NAVFAC Marianas organization that already exists here, has existed for quite some time, and that's Captain Jones. And I work for her, so I'm a subcomponent that does field oversight for this.
Wait, she's a captain, you're a captain?
Yes, yeah.
So how come you work for her?
Well, everybody's got a boss.
Well, yeah,
so.
I figured we're both captains. We're both, in charge. So okay. Let me get back to the NAVFAC side. Then. So I wanted to get a view from the military, and so that's the Marine Corps side with the OICC. Now on the NAVFAC, as I said, there's the Hawaii, and so Hawaii takes care of the acquisition.
That's right. It's more than just the acquisition, but it's working with the client, the Marine Corps, and the Pacific headquarters for the Marine Corps in Hawaii, Camp Smith. We work with them to define the requirement and then do the planning, the programming, ultimately the design, and then the initial acquisition and award of the contract.
Okay, so the question that some of the guys that are listening is going to be asking me is, how come we are doing that in Hawaii if the buildup is going to be on Guam? Could we not move those NAVFAC resources to Guam in order to have the acquisition take place here?
Well, that is a logical question which comes up and was part of our very deliberative process that we made a couple of years ago.
It's a logical question.
And so I'm going to give you the answer.
What's the logical answer?
Okay, the logical answer is, it's a two-part answer. Number one part is the sheer volume of this effort to support the Marine Corps move would overwhelm the ability of NAVFAC Marianas to pursue all the rest of the work, which is not insignificant that they have responsibility for.
Because I remember years ago, again 2012, 2013, before everything got all paused up, was there used to be in every private sector organization about 3 or 4 really, really sharp people, real good operators, really good supervisors, really good managers, just really good people. And when I'd start going back to these businesses, I'd say, where's so-and-so? And I'd say, well, he took a job over at NAVFAC. Because that was a big brain power suck for a long time. So is part of that have to do with the just the idea that we need more of that kind of brain power here, and in order to augment some of that, we kind of have to do some of that work in Hawaii.
Well, I think that's
bigger
true.
Population.
That's true. But when you think of the enormity in the next 10 years of this effort, which is actually more than the $2.5 billion that I talked about yesterday, we still have $3.5 to $4 billion to build over the next 10 years. So the difficulty of trying to do all that, plan all that, design it all here is you're going to ramp up a big organization, and then when the work goes away, crash.
Yeah.
And so we are much better able in Hawaii at the Pacific headquarters of NAVFAC to manage that really significant workload growth and then to downside on the back end.
All right, so now that the checks are all written on what is, I think, an additional $500 million worth of spend that's going to be taking place, as he talks about $2.6 billion or $2.5 billion under consideration now, what are some of those projects that he's talking about? Are we still talking about infrastructure, or
Yes.
when do we start talking about building the housing that people are going to live in?
So that's not included in the figures that Mr. Boudreaux is referring to. So that's that's even over and above that. But maybe getting back also a little bit as far as the demand signal for additional staff, my organization is going to be growing very significantly. We expect to grow between 20 and 30 people every year for the next 5 years to oversee all of this construction effort. So there is a significant staffing plus up that is going to happen here on Guam for NAVFAC.
That's interesting to me, because I'm wondering, will you be bringing them in? Are there
We're going to be taking all qualified folks.
Whoever's here.
Folks that are here, folks that are willing to relocate here. So it's a good time to be in the construction industry. So it's a good time to be either a contract specialist, an engineer, or an engineering technician. So if you have construction experience, it's a great time to be here.
But what about working with you? Are there civilian opportunities working?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes. So and that's what I was talking about. So that growth of the 2030.
Oh, I see.
Are all going to be within OICC Marine Corps Marianas. So all NAVFAC growth opportunities, and we project that on the tail end that actually we're going to maintain that, because obviously the Marine Corps needs to grow their own staff to then manage those facilities. So there are going to be continued opportunities going forward, so that those people would then likely transition from just building to then maintaining those facilities.
Now we've got a Marine that's here, and
Yes.
a bunch of guys that are here. Tom wasn't able to make it this morning, unfortunately, into the broadcast.
Major Patrick, yes.
There we go, and so I know that there's a bunch of guys that are working with him now. But I suppose maybe a little bit more of an education on where the two groups come together. I mean, is he a part of the same OICC that you're in?
No, so that's a different group. So that all comes under Colonel Bien. So I work with him. We work in the same building, and so we are very closely tied. He is the on-island presence for the Marine Corps, and I am basically working for him, being his representative and the direct liaison with the construction entities to make sure that we build the base in the manner in which the Marine Corps needs it and wants it.
No, there are people that are listening, and I've had it explained to me a couple of times, and I'm always willing to hear it again. When I was a little boy and we first started talking about the Marine buildup, so it must have been in middle school or something like that when it first came up. But when we first started doing that, there was a joint Guam program office.
Yes.
There was the JIGPO, and now there's no more JIGPO anymore. So what's replaced that? Will?
So I can speak to that. The JIGPO was stood up back in the Pentagon because it was a significant combined Navy and Marine Corps effort. Because there was a big push as part of the initial planning to bring a lot of additional Navy forces in. Later, as part of the environmental evaluation process, that paused or fell to the side, and then it became purely a Marine Corps effort. And so back in Washington, they stood down the JIGPO, the Joint Program Office, and they assigned the program responsibility to the headquarters Marine Corps.
Okay, and so, but since then, and a record of decision, there doesn't seem to be the need to make a lot of adjustments along the way on some of these programs and projects. I mean, once the blueprints are done, are the blueprints done?
Well, I can talk to the National Environmental Policy Act evaluation process. We have to lay out our plan. And so once you lay out your plan, you do the environmental analysis, and you get the approval from what's called the record of decision from the Secretary of the Navy, execute the plan. So at that point, you have a plan, it's an approved plan, and we really can't steer too far left.
But there is
too
a
far
modification
right.
process, right? I mean, all these things under consideration. There are going to be changes in availability of manpower, availability of materials, strategic changes, maybe of the Marines, maybe some of the stuff that the Navy might want to change in the next 5 years. How do these things adapt?
Well, there is the ability to, in our case, build specific buildings for certain types of units. So we have to wait for our client, the Marine Corps, to decide which units, what type of units, what size of units, and they let us know, and then we build the buildings and the facilities to support those units.
Right.
So to the extent those units change, I don't have any independent knowledge.
No, and then who knows, the decision to go from 2 stories to 3 stories or something along those lines. I don't know.
I can help you with that.
We put more rebar over here and we stick some concrete and do all of that. But I'm still a little bit curious, and I'm not sure that I'm satisfied with what is the next big interesting thing that's going to be coming out? I mean, we know that there's going to be a repository for artifacts. We know that there's the Route 3 construction that is underway right now, and things that people can actually see and touch with regard to this military buildup. But as we're talking about all of the infrastructure that's going to go in, what big building, what big thing am I going to be able to look at one of these days and say, wow, look at that?
As far as to be able to actually see and touch, I don't know that there will be as much because it's all on existing federal property. So as far as the general passerby, there may not be a very obvious and apparent project going forward because it is all on DoD property. Now, if you go on to the base, so obviously the largest one is the build out of the new Marine Corps base up at Finnegayan.
Right, and so the visible thing that we're going to see there is we're going to be able to drive by, and even if you won't be able to see your stuff from the road, we will be able to see a number of businesses, mom and pop stores, and people, the seamstresses and dry cleaners, and any number of other businesses that are going to be growing up in and around those areas as a result of the buildup and the fact that there's going to be a lot of 2,000 people live there now.
Right. So I guess in the near term, the Route 3 widening, that's probably one of the biggest things that everyone's going to see as they drive up that Route 3 corridor. And there is going to, so in fact, I think even just this Friday, we're going to be doing a groundbreaking with Governor Calvo for that Route 3 widening project.
Right. I was looking to see if traffic is still ugly there. Now, it's 8:31. The chances are very good that the traffic is still...
I drive it every day. And,
oh, do you?
Yes, and it does get a little packed.
Well,
there's
obviously going to be a lot that's going to be going on there. Is there any? Do you ever like look at some of the old plans that they were talking about when Dave Bice was here and Dan Leaf, the other Dan, was here, and remember when they were talking about the $1 billion boulevard, I used to call it, Will, the one new road that we were going to build that would go from Sumai all the way up to Anderson Air Force Base. You don't remember that? Oh, got to look that up. Joe Arnett's sitting over there. Joe remembers. You remember the $1 billion boulevard? Yeah, that was a good time. I want to thank you both very much for coming and spending some time with us in the studio, and I can hardly wait to hear what else is going to be coming out of NAVFAC in the next little bit. And obviously curious. I'm glad that we've had a chance to meet. And next time we'll do this in the studio at the radio station, and so you can see some of the other technology that we've assembled to be able to make talk radio that much more interesting and fun to listen to and to watch. That's the neat thing is about being able to do this. Is I'm sitting there and these guys are looking at my technology. Our geek is showing.
We're pretty geek.
Yeah, we are. This is a conversation among propeller heads. It's 8:32 in the morning on the Ray Gibson Show here on The Point, and about time for me. Hold on a second. Sometimes that happens. All of the different microphones are reacting with each other. But now is a good time to find out what the big stories are from the Guam Daily Post. And with all of that this morning, here is Kevin Kerrigan.
Half a day and good morning. Guam news time here at The Point is 34 minutes past 8 a.m. In the headlines from the Guam Daily Post this morning, the governor calling the legislature back into special session at 1 o'clock this afternoon to consider his bill to shorten the required notice for any furlough action to just 30 days from 90 days now. If it passes, GovGuam employees could face reduced work hours and reduced pay as early as April instead of June. Before this afternoon's session, a public hearing will be held this morning at the legislature on two revenue bills, one from Senator Joe S. San Augustine, the other from Senator Fernando Estevez, each of which would impose a 2% sales tax on all retail sales and services. The Estevez bill also includes a proposed 6% tax on internet sales. Meanwhile, the governor yesterday announcing that additional deeper cuts in government services are now under consideration to make up for the proposed $67 million shortfall in revenue for this fiscal year. Among the options on the table are canceling bus service to private schools, disconnecting half the streetlights on island to save on power costs, suspending operations at government-run recreational facilities like the Agana Pool and the Dededo Sports Complex. Cuts to everything are on the table, said the governor. Finally, a plea deal could be in the works for a woman accused of selling methamphetamine and marijuana. Susan Mata, also known as Sue Correa, scheduled to go to trial, but that's been placed on hold for the time being to allow time for her to enter into negotiations with the government on a plea agreement. Mata was found in possession of drugs and more than $11,000 in cash. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post.
iConnect time at Dusitani is 8:35. Connect longer for less with iConnect's push-to-talk mobile and internet plans.
Wendy's welcomes the new Smoky Mushroom Bacon Cheeseburger, featuring smoky, sauteed portobello mushrooms, melted Asiago cheese, crispy applewood smoked bacon, and crunchy fried onions atop a juicy beef patty. For those craving the same great taste, Wendy's Smoky Mushroom Bacon Potato is also loaded with sauteed portobello mushrooms, cheddar cheese sauce, and crispy applewood smoked bacon. Here, for a limited time, get a delicious Smoky Mushroom Bacon Cheeseburger and Smoky Mushroom Bacon Potato today. Wendy's. Now that's better.
At Micronesia Renewable Energy, values matter. So all of their solar energy systems come with guarantees and the most value. No shortcuts, all quality. It's giving you that solar energy system at the best price. It's using highly efficient solar panels with typhoon-proven racking, built by highly skilled local technicians, so your system performs and saves you money. It's total peace of mind all the time. Not all solar companies are created equal. For experienced quality solar, it's MRE. Call 632-2613. MRE, the smarter choice.
When the power goes out on Guam, the little things can become surprisingly big. Small comforts are often the things we miss most during a power outage. That is why Kohler built the fastest responding generator sets in the industry. Whether you are at home or away, a residential Kohler generator will enable you and your family to live life without interruption. Kohler gas, LPG, and diesel power systems are available from Morrico Equipment, LLC on EPAL Road. Call 649-1946. That's 649-1946.
It is time for Right Now traffic on the point. It's going to be a little bit heavier because Kevin is leaving me here at the Dusit, and there's probably going to be a snag somewhere behind him as he makes his way down to the legislature as they prepare for public hearings on some very interesting measures, sales tax measures, which is going to come up in the next round of conversation because I couldn't pass up the opportunity to talk to Joe Arnett about something like that if he's in front of me. And yeah, the Guam build-up thing might come up as well. In the traffic, though, right now, Route 16, if you're headed towards the Macheche intersection across from Ocean Vista, you might see some slowing down there, and it's going to continue. That slowdown is going to follow you all the way to the intersection of Marine Corps Drive and the Micronesia Mall. Marine Corps Drive in front of Public Works on the way to Kmart and Mezclados looks like it's backing up as well. One of my least favorite roadways on Guam, it's that one channel road that goes between Tidzin and the front of the airport. It's that one little downhill that you got there. The thing is an afterthought, and unfortunately there's a lot of people that go through Tidzin that use that roadway. Well, it's going to slow you down here in order to get down to there and by Home Depot and Marine Corps Drive, but it doesn't look like there's anything else to worry about. The regular traffic patterns are in regular place here this morning. It's 8:38. That's traffic on the point.
For over 55 years, Community First has served our island as a full-service financial institution. And now, we're proud to introduce the new Community First Student-Run Credit Union, open in Manila on Route 10, Guam's first student-run financial institution, which means it's operated by college students like us, ready to serve all our members, existing and new. We're just down the road from UOG and GCC. Community First Guam Federal Credit Union, now open in Manila. This credit union is federally insured by NCUA.
Relax, enjoy, and be greeted by the spectacular view of Agana Bay when you visit the point at the Sheraton Laguna Guam. Gaze into the beautiful sunset as you unwind to the music of Philip Garcia and Natasha on Wednesdays, Mama Shar and Nina on Thursdays, Philip Garcia and Luis Munia on Fridays, and Jack Larimer on Saturdays. Open daily from 8 a.m. to 11 p.m. Happy hour from 5 to 8 p.m. with all cocktail drinks for $7. Receive a discount when you present your SPG card. Call Peter Yaban at 646-2222 for reservations at the point at the Sheraton Laguna Guam Resort.
Now 20 minutes Yeah, that's right. In 20 minutes, it's going to be 9 o'clock in the morning. Ray Gibson Show broadcasting from the Guam Industry Forum at the Deuce-It. And a big thank you very much to everybody here at the Deuce-It for all the incredible hospitality that they have laid out. And I know they're doing it just for me. It has nothing to do with the other 500 people that are here for the forum. It's just me that they're taking all of these extra steps for. And I'd like to say thanks very much. There's a little bit of an aggressive plan here in the next few minutes to talk with guys like Jeff Jones from Triple J Enterprises. He's the president and COO there, but also one of the guys at the top of the food chain in the Armed Forces Committee, longtime participant in the Armed Forces Committee, and the conversation about getting a little bit more attention on Guam from the military that will go back. I mean, even prior to the Marine buildup, the Guam buildup. Joe Arnett will remember when we were pitching Guam as a nice place to park a carrier. You remember that?
Oh, obviously, yeah.
Yeah.
We still do.
Yeah, in addition to what we're also talking about, that wouldn't necessarily be so bad.
Right.
But a long road that leads to where we are today with this forum, and maybe let's go back a ways to when it looked like we weren't getting any kind of benign attention from the Department of Defense, and there was a bunch of guys, you were one of them, that said we need to go on the road.
Yeah, most of the credit goes to people like Lee Weber and Jim Atkins and Carl Peterson, who recognized during the BRAC days when they closed the airport, turned over the airport, ship repair facilities, and a lot of property on Guam, and basically withdrew from Guam. And that gave us a lot of concerns on several levels. First of all, activities going on in this part of the world and the reduction of defense of the island was an immediate concern. But you know, as business people, we can't ignore the economic effects that these type of investments have on the island. We have a fragile economy. Tourism, fortunately, is our major local input into the economy. But typhoons happen.
Well, and slowdowns in somebody else's economy happens.
Exactly.
I mean, some of the things that you were talking about were happening in parallel with a significant downturn people will say it was in the Asian economy, in Japan.
Yeah.
And that had a big impact on tourism here on Guam. And this comes after the heydays of the 80s and the 90s, and all of a sudden, everything seemed to be going away.
Yeah, we got hit with SARS, and then the Gulf War, and many people were reluctant to travel in Asia at that point in time. So we suffered through some of those days. Fortunately, the tourism economy is recovered quite a bit, and hopefully we can sustain that into the future.
I got you. And so we find ourselves here, as I said in the beginning of this, you know, my recollection is one of the ideas was let's go and see if we can make a case for putting an aircraft carrier out here, because it's not just, you know, we're going to be busy when they're in town. When you've got a carrier ported here, there's a whole lot of permanent, significant work that gets done to support that and the group that follows it around. So we thought that would be a good thing for us. As it turns out, it didn't go in that direction, and they said, well, we want to do this thing with the 3 MEF, so let's talk about putting a permanent 3 MEF on Guam, and then that turned into a rotating concept, which is where and then it paused for a long time, which is where we are today. So I can't imagine that you guys are any less delighted to be doing an industry forum, to participate in an industry forum.
No, this is
for
us, this is so exciting on several levels. Again, the increased the defense posture here for our own protection and our way of life here, but more importantly, and is equally important, the commercial investment that'll need to be made to do that. We're talking about almost $9 billion in investment, and I calculated one time that's about 45 of Deuce-Its.
Yeah.
You know, so that's significant impact. And
well, we tear down Tumon and rebuild it 3 or 4 times, right?
Yeah. So that, you know, that opens up a lot of opportunity for everyone here, and obviously, as we noticed and you noted earlier, the government is having problems with its finances at the moment and dealing with the effect of the tax cuts from the new tax bill, and you know, this is going to help. You know, things are things are going to start to ramp up soon.
So there'll be more guys working with, being junior guys to, some of the big guys that might also be junior to some of the big players in the FAR, the federal acquisitions on some of these programs that are up for consideration. But the money should trickle into the economy at a pretty fast clip once things get started.
And even on different levels than that. I mean, for the last couple of years, the Armed Forces Committee obviously makes a trip back to Washington, D.C. to touch base there and make sure they don't forget about us here. And what we've been hearing the last couple of years is actually workforce development. We need to develop a workforce to support the activities and the assets they have planned for out here. So that goes into the schools, developing tradespeople. And
we said that 10 years ago, 10, 13 years ago, and looking at kids in 6th or 7th grade and telling the teachers, telling the parents, now is the time to start working with these kids, get them on some really, really good science and math paths, so that when it's time to go to work, and you hear the guys from the SAME all over the place, and they're saying that we need skills here, and it's not just the high-end skills, it's not just the engineering skills. We're going to need plumbers, we're going to need electricians, we're going to need people that can manage, plumbers and electricians and accountants and insurance salespeople, and might even need people in the accounting business at Deloitte and Touche.
Yeah, maybe.
There's that. You guys aren't you're too busy now? You can't take any more customers?
No, not at all. But yeah, that's right. And so we're working on several levels, trying to introduce those skills and trades into the schools, and working with some other people to make sure that we have in place the workforce to support the activities here. This is a positive development on so many levels.
Yeah, I wanted to make sure everybody knew. You spoke yesterday, right? What was it? Doing business and teaming on Guam.
Yes.
Yes. Did you use the slide with MOG on it?
No, I did not.
All right.
I saved that for you.
It's a joke between Joe and I that goes back to the forum that we did in San Diego, and everybody had come through, and Joe, is typical Joe dry humor style, says my PowerPoint's going to be the best because everybody has a map of the Mariana Islands, but mine is the best because it goes all the way up to MOG. Everybody else is stopped at Saipan or something like that. So in your comments yesterday, doing business and teaming on Guam, what was the big salient point that you were trying to make?
Well, I was trying to point out some of the registration requirements here. Mostly, you know me, I talk about tax, so I introduced the primary taxes here, the GRT, the income tax, payroll taxes, and use tax, and some of the intricacies that are unique to the construction industry and some of the issues they're going to face.
For instance?
Well, for example, many of the U.S. Contractors are not aware, although this is a foreign base, it's not covered by what we call a status of forces agreement, which is applicable to most overseas bases.
Okinawa's got SOFA.
That's right. So what that means is that the contractors that come in and work on base are subject to local taxation. Well, that doesn't apply in Guam because, you don't need a SOFA for Guam, because it's U.S. territory. And so everything they do on base will be subject to Guam taxation. So there is no exemption for working on the base as far as being subject to Guam tax.
What's the capture path for that? Will they be paying the standard the standard withholding the same way that my withholding goes to the Department of Revenue and Taxation, or is there another funnel that will go into a Section 30 bucket later on?
No, there's no Section 30 bucket for the contractors. No, it's a direct pay. Just like anybody else working on Guam, they'll be subject to 4% GRT based upon the way contractors pay GRT.
4% today.
Yeah. 4%. Well, that's another point I made. It's 4% today.
Yeah. What happens if that changes? Is there a recalculation of the cost of some of the stuff that's already been considered?
That was a question that was raised yesterday. Some of these contractors already out here, although they haven't been awarded contracts, have made commitments to provide the work at the cost today. What we've seen in past legislation, I'm certainly hopeful that they will do it this time, is that they project the increase on a revenue earned after a date minus the what would you call it? obligations in place at the time.
They did it before, but I
Yeah.
haven't seen that in any of the statute that I've been looking at from the governor's office.
Yeah.
I have not seen anything where they carve out and say, if you've already got a contract, if you've already got
Yeah.
a deal, you will charge you the GRT based on that rate as opposed to
Yeah.
lumping you in with the new guys.
Yeah, grandfathering it in under the deemed obligation before the date of change. Hopefully they'll do that for this one. That'd be a huge mistake not to, because you're going to put extra costs on people that won't be able to recover it.
So let me switch gears away from the forum here for just a little bit, because you're also a go-to guy when it comes to taxation. And the first question is an increase in the business privilege tax, or the GRT, whichever you want to call it. It is, in your opinion, is that necessary based on the nature of the so-called crisis?
Yeah, I believe overall, as I look at the Tax Reform Act, there will be some shortfall based upon the makeup of our population here. There's some individual taxes across the board have been reduced. The child care credit's been doubled. So I would say, yeah, there's going to be a negative effect on the revenue in the first year. I don't know how much that is. I'm not sure.
Well, in January you said it was going to be 67. I remember looking at that and I thought that's a real big number, and then the government came through and said no, it was going to be 37. And then I think they finally looked at some of the other things that you were looking at and said, oh, I think Joe's got a point. 67 feels about right now.
Well, it's still hard to project because we don't have all the revenue. We don't have all the information we need inside the government at the moment. But if you do great broad brushes of things, and if you ignore certain credits that are actually coming back, then that number could be up there. But I don't think anybody really knows. But we understand that the government is in a shortfall, and we, as a chamber, are prepared to recommend ideas to close that gap, including broadening the tax base, for example. That's the sales tax idea to go after internet sales, broaden the tax base, also increase the enforcement. There's a big tax gap on Guam.
We think so, yeah.
Yeah, not think so, we know so.
Well, how much?
Well, it's huge.
That's another hard one, right?
Yeah, tens of millions, I would say.
Who's proposed? Was it one of your guys that proposed an amnesty?
That was proposed in the past. I don't think we put it into the conversation today, but it certainly would be something to think about in terms of immediate cash flow. One of the problems with changing the legislation is it's going to take 6 to 8 weeks to get this all in place. Mm-hmm. So, things like that would help immediately.
Well, I think an amnesty, that's something that they can do now, right? I mean, John Camacho can write up the paperwork and then, call the media and say, from this point forward up to 2016, if you owe any taxes, then you come and pay it, and you will be forgiven the penalties and you will be forgiven the interest. But if you wait until, let's call it April 20th, or whatever the end of that pay period is.
Yeah.
If you wait too long, then we are going to come after you, and we are going to sock you with the interest and the penalties here.
Yeah, they have the ability to do that.
Yeah, so there's some short-term answers. Another point that has been brought up a couple of times, although I have not seen anything that is definitive, is we know that that among the platforms that Trump was running on was tax cuts for the corporations and tax cuts for the individuals, and then there's supposed to be a big reduction in federal spending. What happens when Guam is caught in that pinch where we've got less money that's coming in from the taxpayers and less money coming in the federal programs?
Yeah, it's a concern, and the budget going forward is going to need to be carefully crafted. We can't overspend anymore because there's going to be challenges until this activity here that we're here for today starts to crank up, which, we'll hopefully next year, we'll see some noticeable revenue increases for the government on part of that. But back to the tax law changes, yes, there's going to be some decreases, not only because of the local population's reduction in tax rates, but also it'll affect Section 30.
There's a phrase I like to use every once in a while, and it's force field. You know, there are things that happen that we are in control of. There are things that happen in the federal government that we're in a lot less control over, and then there are things that happen in our regional economy that could impact us down the road. Are there any threats out there? Are there any warning signs that you see regionally that could impact? I mean, beyond, again, this build-up here, but is there anything that you're seeing out there that could impact the nature of our economy going forward?
Well,
sorry, I got to ask you a lot of questions. I don't see you as often as I used to. I start making Rotary meetings.
It's good. I'm just trying to, well, obviously, China's the elephant in the room. And, you know, Russia is getting more aggressive as well. And although the news is good out of North Korea now, they're willing to talk now. So those are the major threats in our region, and so those challenges is why we think it is important to defend Guam and Micronesia right now. As you know.
Well, I believe in the projection of force, and I believe in the stabilizing power of force in the region. I think, you know, when you go back to the Second World War and things got as bad as they did, I think because the United States was not as strong as it should have been in this blue ocean. It's 2018, it's a completely different story, but the stronger the presence of the United States in Australia, the Philippines, Japan, Guam, I think that has a stabilizing effect in the region.
Yeah, and I think that's the positive, the other positive note out of the changes that are going to occur here over the next few years. The Marines are obviously going to, and other forces on Guam are going to train internationally with our partners in Japan, Australia, New Zealand, just like you mentioned. And also, they'll do, I suspect they'll do a lot of amphibious training, which is necessary to defend the island and the islands around us. So they'll do the type of exercises that will be necessary to prepare for that. And also, not to forget that they do a lot of disaster relief.
Of course. Yeah.
So
no greater power for good.
Yeah, so that is part of the whole process as they get these nations together, and when there's a natural disaster in any part of this world, then they're all jointly prepared to respond to that disaster.
I'm talking to Joe Arnett from Deloitte and Touche. Keen, one of the speakers at the conference yesterday, doing business and teaming on Guam, his other responsibilities is going to have over the next couple of days. Let me just throw a couple of other things out at you. The Trans-Pacific Partnership, we had no participation in the construction of that treaty. Now the United States is not part of it anymore, but is that something that could have an effect on Guam, business opportunities?
You know, at the very beginning, I'm not sure where that TPP is right now in terms of effect on Guam, but Guam was carved out of the provisions of the TPP as it was originally passed, and as you know, that's not unusual. But there are possibilities for Guam should the TPP progress as it's already enacted.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there are possibilities for us. Always when the United States makes an agreement with our part of the world, there's a possibility.
Well, even to the degree that there is going to be, I'm sure, American interest businesses that will still find a way to participate with the TPP. They're going to want someplace to headquarters, or maybe someplace to park some money, maybe someplace that's got the legal halo effect, if you will, of the American flag flying over it.
In the American court system, law.
Yeah.
So that's all attractive.
Speaking of halo effect, you know, there's a lot of us that are, you know, I talked with Brad Rizala from the CNMI over the last couple of days, and Brad was telling me, frankly, how good they have it up in the CNMI these days, because they got a big casino partner, and they seem to be involved in everything, and everybody's driving new cars and all of this stuff. You think there might be a little bit of a halo effect from that on Guam, do you suppose?
You know, it's hard to tell. I know that there are plans for them to expand. I've been told anyway that there are plans for them to expand their operations throughout Micronesia.
We'll see
so
if there's
see.
we'll see if there's any room at the end for them here with the governor talking about possibilities. Joe Arnett, thanks so much for coming by, and
Thanks, Ray. Good to see you.
pleasure to spend some time with you. Now I got to break away for the Fox News. That's coming up next in the next hour, a full hour with conversation from guys like Mark Mamzars and Bill Berry, and we'll talk about education and for our young people. That's ahead right here on KUSG Hagutnya.
Accusing the Attorney General of lying. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. California's governor reacts to a federal lawsuit filed against the state over its sanctuary policy. Fox's Jessica Rosenthal has more live.
Lisa, Attorney General Jeff Sessions said 3 of the state's recently enacted sanctuary laws obstruct immigration agents and hinder their ability to do their jobs. Governor Jerry Brown said no, they don't, and he mocked Sessions, saying he's just trying to keep his job by throwing red meat to the base.
And I call upon him to apologize to the people of California, to bringing the mendacity of Washington to California and trying to insert discord and division.
He said Sessions got swept up in the lies that have been coming out of the White House and that this is war. Lisa.
Jessica, the Northeast dealing with its second major storm in less than a week with thousands still without power. The storm affecting areas from Pennsylvania to Maine.
Heaviest of the snow will be in interior sections and especially along the higher elevations. Some spots will see over a foot of snow throughout parts of northern Pennsylvania, upstate New York, throughout the higher elevations in the Berkshires and Catskills. Coastal areas seeing a bit of rain mixing in, especially around the Boston area. That will continue throughout the overnight hours.
Fox meteorologist Rick Reichmuth. Amtrak suspending part of its Northeast service and nearly 3,000 flights canceled. A middle school teacher from southern New Jersey struck by lightning during the storm. Police say she suffered non-life-threatening injuries. 3 weeks after the mass shooting at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School in Florida, Senate Democrats holding a hearing on gun reform.
We stand for universal background checks. We stand for assault weapons, dealing with assault weapons, and we stand for protection orders.
Senate Democratic leader Chuck Schumer. There's been a push from both Republicans and Democrats for changes in gun laws since the shooting. Fox News, fair and balanced.
Listen, my life changed because someone was there to get me to use drugs. No one can understand. Whether or not they've struggled with addiction themselves, people seem to think that having someone who will listen is gonna help make it better. I'm realizing that I need help.
I'm listening.
I need help. I'm realizing that I think that having someone who will listen is going to help make it better. Whether or not they've struggled with addiction themselves, people seem to understand. No one can get me to use drugs. My life changed because someone was there to listen.
1 in 7 Americans will struggle with addiction during their lifetime. Want to know how you can help? Go to heretolisten.com for tips and tools to help turn addiction around. A public service announcement brought to you by the Ad Council.
A banking bill up for consideration in the Senate, and top Republicans say it'll bring relief for borrowers and lenders.
Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell is selling it as offering common sense regulatory relief for nearly 5,700 community banks across the country.
Dodd-Frank's imprecise, inefficient, one-size-fits-all framework dropped these small institutions into the regulatory maze that was intended for Wall Street.
The bill passed a preliminary vote in the Senate, 67-32. Massachusetts Democrat Senator Elizabeth Warren is opposed to deregulation, saying, quote, "The people in Congress may have forgotten the crash 10 years ago, but I guarantee that people across this country have not forgotten the pain that these giant banks caused." On Capitol Hill, Mike Emanuel, Fox News.
Amazon responding to reports its virtual assistant has been laughing at users.
Over the last few days, Amazon Alexa users have taken to social media to say the virtual assistant has been randomly laughing, letting out a cackle without a prompt. Some saying they hear it making noises after they've gone to bed. One tweeting, "In bed about to fall asleep when Alexa on my Amazon Echo Dot lets out a very loud and creepy laugh. There's a good chance I get murdered tonight." Another tweeting unprompted, my Alexa just said, sure, I can laugh, tee hee, and I'm moving out now. Amazon responding to the creepiness, telling The Verge, we are aware of this and working to fix it. I'm Kristen Goodwin, Fox News.
The state of Oregon suing casino mogul Steve Wynn and the board of directors of Wynn Resorts, alleging a failure to act in the best interests of shareholders and stop what they're calling a pervasive pattern of sexual misconduct at the company. The state attorney general and treasurer say the state's pension system held over 8,500 shares of company stock worth $1.3 million. Wynn has resigned as the company's CEO and denies any wrongdoing. Lisa Lacera, Fox News Radio.
GPSI Guam is a professional services company that is a registered contractor for the federal government. They're an SBA 8A and HubZone certified SDVOSB, providing program project management, administration, technical support, logistics, and commodities. They welcome the more than 800 companies and participants attending the 2018 Guam Industry Forum who are interested in how the U.S. and Japanese governments are collaborating in constructing facilities on Guam. Contact GPSI if you need assistance in meeting your small business subcontracting goals at 671-477-3058.
Wait, turn on a microphone and I can talk on it? Is that the way it works? Portions of the program brought to you by King's Restaurant. Serving Guam favorites to families for over 40 years. King's Restaurant, always open and always local.
The Extra Point with Jerry Roberts of Guam Training every morning on The Ray Gibson Show.
Is it rude to disturb workers just because we want to buy something or get service? I'm Jerry Roberts, and at 7:20 a.m. on The Ray Gibson Show, we talk about interrupting workers when they're deep in personal conversation. It's The Extra Point on 93.3.
Portions of the program also brought to you by Subway. They got your favorite and your fresh choices for Lent. Sink your teeth into the classic tuna or indulge in the mouth-watering greatness of their seafood sensation. It's got yum on it. Try the new tasty Veggie Max as well. It's a vegetarian patty. Right? A delicious vegetarian patty, free of artificial colors and artificial flavors. Visit any of their convenient locations today at Subway. Fresh is what they do.
Security Title is honored to join in sponsoring Ray Gibson on The Point. Buenas and half a day, Guau si Clara Minglotnya of Malolo. And this is where I start my day, listening to the voices of our community and sharing thoughts about issues that affect all of us. It all boils down to our people and our land. Protehi itanotmu, protect your land. When it comes to your family land, remember to call the professionals at Security Title, just like you call Ray Gibson in the morning.
Chili's has the seafood you crave, the flavors you love, at a great price with our 3 for Me Lent menu. For just $15, you can get a beverage, fresh salad, and a Lent-friendly entree. First, choose from a refreshing Coca-Cola, iced tea, or Heineken on draft. Then enjoy a fresh house salad right before you indulge in your choice of a mouth-watering entree, like our spicy shrimp tacos, savory Cajun pasta with shrimp, or our flavorful grilled ancho salmon. Chili's 3 for Me Lent menu for just $15. Available for a limited time. Chili's, more life happens here.
News to fill your mind. Talk to get it out. The Ray Gibson Show.
Second, now think about that for just a second. What do you mean you're conflicted out from a conversation? Yeah, Ray Gibson here in I was going to say the studios of The Point, but we're not in the studios today. Broadcasting from the Guam Industry Forum at the Dusitani Hotel, and it is a wonderful venue for this. And we're for a lot of us spending a little bit more time in places where we don't normally go. You go to a ballroom function and you come in and you park and first you've got to find a car spot bigger than what Al Israel originally anticipated the spots were going to be, and then you find yourself in the ballroom and they head out. Now we are in what is called a salon, and I don't know why they call it a salon. I don't see anybody getting their hair done around here, and we're probably the last 3 people that would get their hair done, as a matter of fact. So I just want to start with that. So it's really, really a nice place, and they've taken very good care of the 500 plus folks that are here for this Guam Industry Forum. And as we've done all morning long, and trust me, if you're listening going, wait, how come he's not giving the governor a hard time today? How come he's not putting a twist on over at the legislature? Trust me, there will be ample time to do that tomorrow. There will be ample time to, because the situation that we're dealing with the fiscal crisis that is before the government is not going to go away between now and 10 o'clock this morning. At least that's what I don't think. So some of the giggles and that you're hearing in the background belong to a couple of friends of mine who we have worked together on projects like this in the past, and I've been able to watch them on some of the other projects that they've done. Bill Beery, it says William, but I don't know that I've ever called you William. Pick up the microphone and say hello to everybody if you don't mind.
And?
Is it
no, I go by Bill.
Bill. So
yeah.
Bill, and now my dad is a Bill, and he's listening, and I'm sure going, okay, so it's Bill from the Guam Contractors Association. Yes, it is, and it's good to have you here with me this morning. And the other voice belongs to Mark Mamzars, who is the Vice President of Finance, Secretary, and Treasurer at Black Construction, or as we have said for decades around here, On Track with Black.
Yeah, that's you're right. It probably is decades.
It's been a while. How long you been here? You've been in town for a long time.
I came in '86.
Right. Wow. Let me just move over a little bit and really get into the nitty-gritty part of the conversation, because it's nice to talk to folks that have that kind of institutional knowledge, if you will, about what things were like. And Bill, I'm sure you go back a ways.
I came in '96.
Oh, you missed the good time. In 1986, when Mark first got here, we were gangbuster construction. We were gangbuster construction in the hospitality industry.
Well, that probably wasn't until about 88, 89.
I'm trying to remember, because I always had money in the 80s. Not like now, where it's a paycheck here, paycheck there, and see if you can get some extra scratch going somewhere.
Well,
But
when I first came on board in '86, we were still paying off Black and Hawaiian Rock for the last lawsuit we had against the H2s. Which your father was part of.
Yeah, the last time around. Yeah, but I remember them as the crazy heyday go-go days of the 1980s, because that's when the national bird of Guam was the construction crane.
Yeah, about '88 it started.
And so around that time things got to be busy, and as I said, all of a sudden we've got money all over the place, and then for whatever reasons things began to dry up. And I imagine from the contracting perspective that you're happy once again, not just to see this opportunity, but finally to see it start taking some concrete steps.
Yeah, we have finally said internally that it has started.
This is a big admission.
Yeah. And the key is the Finnegajan and our live firing range projects.
We, out in the social media world, refer to that as digital, or as Facebook official. Something is official, but it doesn't really become official until you post it on Facebook somewhere. So what you're telling me now is that this Guam buildup now is official, Facebook official. It's on, it's underway.
Yeah, for all intents and purposes, I would say so. Finally. I mean, we've been waiting and reorganizing, and we've been through this form a couple times.
Yeah, well, I mean, I remember when it first came up, my thinking was that there were going to be a lot of businesses that instead of putting together a 1-year plan, 2.5-year plan, 5-year plan, we would need to start focusing on something longer term, like a 10-year plan, because at the time we were talking about a buildup that was going to peak out, but it was going to be a long time between there and when the boots were going to be around. A lot of projects going on. So we've stretched this one out a little bit longer, so your timeline has to go a little further now, doesn't it?
At Black, for example, I don't know that we need to make much more investment, because we made it last time. And you were joking about the Dusitani. Well, Black's probably got an investment similar to this on Guam, between our facilities, equipment, and everything else.
Right. So, but was that based on 12 years ago? Was that based on 10 years ago? Or?
We upped it $20 million after the first forum.
Right. Okay, so we're about ready now to start throwing some more money at it, right?
Not sure I have to throw that much more. I'm hoping I don't throw that much more.
So from the business perspective, where did you put the money? Where'd you sock that away?
Well, we bought land, we bought buildings. We had increased our equipment fleet a bit.
Yeah.
Those types of areas.
What about manpower development? What are you doing in-house? What are you doing to keep a steady stream of guys coming in?
I think the first thing we try to do is treat people fairly.
Yeah.
I mean, we offer some decent benefits that aren't common in the industry. I mean, we really haven't had H2 since '91.
Yeah.
You know, so
at your shop.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. We had 39 of them for 6 months in 2015 for a true peak.
Yeah.
And that's it. 6
So-
months.
So the rest of your guys are all homegrown.
Yeah.
Nice.
And some of them, we're starting to get the third generation.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure you guys. The company's been around for a long, long time. Yeah. So I'm sure that we're seeing that kind of thing where guys are working basically in the same spot as their grandfather did all those years ago. Different equipment, different technology, to be sure.
Yeah.
But I'm glad to hear that. So tell me about some of the local programs that and maybe some of the stuff that Bill is doing that you are supporting so that you can maintain that stream. Because I'm with you. I think the smart move is to get guys from here trained up, skilled up, so that anytime there's work to be done, they're first in line to call.
Yeah. It's hard to say. We're unfortunately in construction industry, you're fairly reactive to the project sitting in front of you.
Yes.
Because that's what you got to face. And our most recent one was probably up at the airport, where we took a group of 16 guys and started testing them and training them in welding, because the airport has, I don't know the tonnage. It's a huge amount of tonnage we're putting in there between retrofitting and the new walkways and the new porch.
How much of that can you talk about? The new walkway. Can you describe it for me? Because I suffer from the recent memory of the trip where I'm coming through and what should have been a mixed area back in the old days, based on the original plans. Now they have to put up a wall to sterilize customers on the way to customs.
What our project right now, about maybe a quarter of it is seismic upgrades.
Oh.
Okay, so we've got to go all the way to the basement to fit things up. And then what they're doing is they're creating what they call pods, and there's 6 pods, maybe 5 pods. And these pods are between gates. So you go from the gate, kind of like you would in Manila or somewhere. You go up these pods. They got escalators and elevators in them. And then we'll have a walkway above that's called sterile that will take you back to immigration.
Is there another floor going in, or are you using the existing space?
No, it's actually kind of above the. It will break through the roof.
Okay, so we'll go upstairs through this walkway, and then that's eventually going to take me into customs and quarantine and all of that.
On the bigger side, that will face Tumon, so you'll walk down this glass corridor looking out to Tumon.
Oh, that's nice.
And then on the other side, it will face the mountains.
Okay, but for customers coming in, people, among the first things that they'll see then is, instead of looking at our gorgeous tarmac, they will be able to get view of the ocean and the moonlight and all of those things.
That's the way
Somebody actually looked out a window when they did the plans.
Yeah, that's the way I understand
Well, that's interesting. Okay, but it's the first time I knew that it was happening. I knew that the airport was making that commitment and wanted to, over the years, make the commitment. Can you tell me about how much money there's going to?
Well, our current contract is at $97 million.
Oh, wow! We used to build hospitals and schools for that kind of money.
As I said, a significant portion of it is seismic upgrade.
So after,
which means we have to go back into the original structure and rehab.
Right. Okay, so I get that part. We got to dig out a little bit of the foundation and make it as strong as possible, because we are going to be adding some stress on the top side. Okay, that part I get, because I've tried to do that to my house. So when we talk about from that perspective, when we start talking about being able to get guys into this industry, into the construction industry, local kids that are learning all of those skills, I mean that's got to make you feel good, doesn't it, Bill?
Yeah, I part of my presentation yesterday was for the fact that we always talk about the shortage of H2s, but we don't mention the 4,400 locals that are in the industry today. We've got a big number of locals, and it's grown in, say, the last 10 years, maybe from 2,000 some up to 4,000 some. This is all Department of Labor statistics, but we've actually increased local participation quite a bit.
I'm very glad to hear that. Why is that such an untold story? Why aren't we learning more about that?
Well, politically, probably we were pushing for H2. We definitely need H2 support. going to be too much work and not enough people. But I think they wanted to push the H2 issue. Christ, we're down to 30, I think, total in the Guam right
I thought
now.
that was a significant drop, but
That's
but I'd always worried that one of the reasons why, and I'm glad to hear the number is up as high as it is. It's the first time I've heard that number this year. I'm glad to hear that because my concern was that I didn't think we were paying enough to be able to get some of the guys with skills out from the garage and into the workforce.
I don't think that's never been the problem. If you look at the H2 statistics, probably 85% of them have been in 3 trades. I call them the sun trades.
Go ahead.
Because they're all in the sun all day long.
The sun. But working with concrete or what?
Masons, iron workers, and carpenters. And, all the forming for the concrete.
Right.
So those guys are in the sun all day. And that we've still struggled to get kids into those trades big time. You just can't get.
But is it because we're not paying enough for those trades, or is there, I mean, you're the treasurer, so you look at it and say, I'm sorry, it doesn't have anything to do whether you're from Guam or whether you're from the Philippines or whether you're from Hawaii. The cost to put a piece of brick on top of another piece of brick with some concrete in between is never going to be worth more than, say, $12, $13 an hour.
No, I don't think that's really the problem. The problem is the sun and the heat and day after day of hard physical work is not desirable to the new, younger generation.
Wow.
I mean, there's no difference. It's like they used to go to work in Guam. They used to look at the newer generation. They want to sit on their phones, social media. They want to. They're not going to go out there and lose 10 pounds a day and have to try and regain it every night.
I was going to say, can I do the Mason work with my iPhone? Is there any way that I can like an app, like a game, and just say, okay, I need to build this much concrete and I need to make it this high, and we'll make an app that does that. We don't have that yet.
No, and that's the challenge we're always going to face. It's the work, no matter what you do, the type of work and the temperatures here.
So you could say that all of a sudden that's a $25, $30, and we'll just charge it back onto the client, but we're still not going to get the guys that are more interested in working inside in front of a screen as opposed to outside under the sun.
I think that's pretty true.
That's an interesting story there. All right, what do you think, Bill?
Well, I agree with Mark, but one of the things that we've done is Dr. Bert Johnson and the Trades Academy has touched, I think, over 3,000 students to date since we started in 2006. And those 3,000, it's really interesting. You train people and explain to them why they're doing what they're doing, and you see a glimmer of light. Now, don't get me wrong, training is so critical to our business, and it increases productivity. We can afford to pay more if a guy is producing more, so on and so forth. And so I think the training effort that's going on with the Trades Academy, Guam Community College, Department of Labor, coming in with federal money to support apprenticeship and that sort of thing is just great.
Oh, I agree wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
I mean, it is positive, but we're not going to get rid of the H2 because of there's no way.
The simple nature of the work that needs to get done.
Yeah, I mean, we're finding electricians, we're finding the AC guys, we're finding in the schools all of those types of things, but we're struggling with those.
So I'm thinking in terms of our own kids, and I don't frankly see them. I remember when I was growing up, it was a nice summer job when you were about 15 or 16, going out and working on somebody's car lot or something like that, or being a warehouseman, and that's a hot job as well, or just cutting yards, and doing that kind of thing. So, but frankly, you're right. I don't know that my kids would do something along those lines, and so we need to start looking beyond just our shores. So yeah, we're talking about H2, but we have also in the past, and there was it might have been one of you guys that made the prediction 10 to 15 years ago, that one of the things that we're going to see in this buildup is we are going to see a drain of all of the available manpower out in the islands of Micronesia coming out to Guam looking for those opportunities. And I know that there was a lot of work that was done to train some of that manpower. Has that paid off for us in any meaningful way?
I know a lot of small contractors that have used Micronesians, and substantial, but they're used as labor force and strong backs, that sort of thing. And I think it has helped. Center for Micronesian Improvement was around and still around, and they've tried to encourage Islander people to come and then go to the Trades Academy, learn how to communicate, that sort of thing. It's a communication issue, really, with so many of our
well, I mean, that's a conversation that we've been having for the last 30 years. You said 1986 when you got here, and that's about when the bubble started to blow up on that. We started seeing more and more folks from Micronesia coming out here, and for many years, that was one of the things that we all said, well, it would be really nice if before people got on the airplane, we gave them a little bit of information about the new culture and just the future that literally that they're going to be flying into. Otherwise, they have no idea how to get around what the work demands are going to be, ethics demands and work ethic demands and that kind of thing. So, I don't know that we've gotten any better at that. I know that there were people that said, yeah, we'll build training down there, but we also brought training up here. Is, getting back to that question, have we been able to net anything out of that, or is it true that from what I've heard that you get a lot of these guys and they got that training, they got those skills, and they said, well, there's nothing happening here. I'm going to Hawaii. I'm going to go to the mainland, see what else is happening there.
No, I don't think we haven't. I think there's been a tremendous development of the Micronesian workforce. And I mean, we constantly hear.
I went by the build-up over at the NICO. There are a lot of Micronesians there.
And
they drive nicer cars than me.
Yeah. Well, what people, we hear the government constantly complaining about how much we're losing because of them, and they don't realize how much they contribute to the economy.
Yeah.
I mean,
as I said, they drive nicer cars than me. And I've watched them walk in and out of the movies.
And the longer they're here, the more they learn the ethics. They walk off the plane. They're not going to have it. It's just not back there.
Blank slate.
Yeah, and so what we've seen, I mean, we've got some 25-year Micronesians here on Guam.
Yep.
And been good workers, and we did the experiment back when we were doing Minilau Golf Course, and we brought about 25 of them in from Ponape.
Right.
We were working in Ponape at the time, and I think we've got 3 or 4 of them still left 25 years later.
What other business are you doing out in the region? Because I know it's not just Guam. I mean, black logos can be seen everywhere in the Pacific.
We just finished Chuuk Airport, and we brought everything back. We're up in Saipan doing some odds and ends. We're in the Philippines.
I was going to say, are you going to finish the casino?
No, we won't go near that.
Wait a second.
One touch out with a
Did I miss a headline somewhere? All right. Well, maybe offline you can give me a little bit more on some of that thinking. Build-up opportunities in.
Eventually, we see that.
Yeah.
And we're out in Diego Garcia. We've got
it's a speck out there in the
it's way out
Indian
there.
Ocean. Yeah.
We're loading a barge as we speak today to go to Wake, and we're going to send 30 guys from Guam to Wake.
Interesting. all of that additional work, and I know some of these guys, they go and they come back with some interesting new skills that they've developed out there. Because anytime that you are working in a different cultural environment, you're no doubt going to pick things up. I like that. I wanted to ask, as we talk about what's happening here, and I think everybody's got a little bit better of a sense of what's going to be going on here on Guam. What are our thoughts about doing some other offshore things, some of the projects that you were talking about, or just contracting in general? Is all of the business that's happening behind the fence, federal projects? Tell me a little bit about what your sense is on the public side over here, my side of the fence. Are we going to see any big improvements or big upgrades in?
Not until you get H2s.
Still, huh?
I mean, the governor was right yesterday about that.
But I was of the impression, I've had a couple of other people in front of me today saying that we're not totally out of the woods, but we can see the edge of the forest from here. Certainly on the military and the federal side.
Yeah, on the federal side, definitely.
Still not. We still need the manpower on all the public stuff.
You're going to need it.
Okay. Have you? You already told me you got a lot of local guys working for you, but have you put out your applications yet?
Yeah, we're constantly advertising.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
You know, I mean, that's one of the things we do. You'll find black in the newspaper, 30, 40 times a year looking for labor.
You know what? I was looking at some of those ads yesterday, but the ones that I were looking at had nothing to do with construction. There's a couple of. There's one that's very tantalizing. It's dive instructors, like $20 an hour, or something like that, for a dive instructor. And I thought, you know what? There's a good business to be in.
Well,
if you got
there's a couple of those ads that are tied to the lawsuit.
Interesting.
Because the lawsuit has said anybody who was named in the lawsuit can now reapply.
Yes.
And so if you look at it, the radiology groups, and there weren't all construction companies in the lawsuit. So you're seeing a few of those come through right now.
I learn something new every day. And let me just finish up with Bill here. You know, what do you suppose the future is going to be like for the Guam Contractors Association? Do you suppose that there are opportunities for growth? I mean, you've got the stable of guys in front of you now. Are you hearing about some new fellas that want to get in the game now that there seems to be so much additional business that's going to be floating around?
Well, one of the things I said yesterday was that we've got 520 member companies, of which probably 500 are small, medium-sized business, and they're all looking for partnering and teaming with large companies to help with the build-up and get involved. So we've got a huge resource at GCA in terms of manpower. They're all working, they're all busy, but I see a lot of opportunity. I really do. You know,
with that many companies and with that much work that's going to be in front of us, I wonder if there's any opportunities for mergers and buyouts. You know, we love that kind of conversation. I don't think there's a lack of money around here. Banks seem to be happy to lend some dough. It might be some investors. Are you brokering any conversations with anybody?
Well, guys like me, my size company. We all capitalize our labor resources by subcontracting with guys that do have.
Right.
You know, there's still a lot of mom and pop construction companies out there that are very capable and very loaded with manpower.
Sorry, my buddy.
Not necessarily all trained, but willing to work and that sort of thing. So I see this as a boom for the industry. We'll probably end up over 600 members within a couple of years.
How do we get guys, and everybody in this town has a tile guy or a kitchen guy or, plaster guy that has really, really astonishing skills. Doesn't charge a whole lot of money. Does some boutique work every once in a while for somebody. How do we get them out from the underground and have them join the establishment and maybe join companies like yours or form up their own?
I think, first off, you'd be surprised at how many of them already work for us.
Probably.
and what you've got is what we call weekend work.
Yeah. We got a lot of weekend warriors.
A lot of weekend.
Yeah, but I mean they're not credentialed. They don't have any paperwork anywhere. How do we get them into the? I suppose maybe the other part of the question is how do we get them paying taxes on some of that under the table income?
Well, I don't think any of us are supporting under the table income.
Certainly not.
If you know what I mean, but. It's out there, it's working, but they aren't cheap anymore. You know, the cost of some of the Chinese and local skilled trades really have jumped
significantly.
Significant, and so the marketplace is moving, but we're trying to. We all capitalize our resources by subcontracting, making business deals, and that sort of thing. So, no answer. No real solution there.
There's always going to be guys, but as you say, there are guys that already have a job somewhere. Number one, number two, doing some weekend work, maybe grabbing some of the equipment off the lot and using that in the back of their pickup truck to cut tile, and then bring it back on Monday. And hopefully, nobody notices that kind of thing. Do you generally look the other way when that happens, or you keep? Unfortunately, we do. There's some of that. Well, hey, listen, guys, I appreciate you spending some time with us this morning. I know you got a busy day with presentations and things like that to do. Bill had his yesterday, and you're not doing one at all, are you?
No.
I'm
probably conflicted.
Get out of here with
that. We're the largest contractor, and this is about.
But it's about making connections, and it's nice to be able to put the face.
Why would you put us up there to show who to make the connection with.
Because
it's free advertising.
Yeah, I know, but but I look at it in these terms. You know, you get into a market, you're going to want to find out who the guys are that have been doing pioneer work in that market, who've been doing the Ranger work in the market, and you know, it's you and Hawaiian Rock, right, and the Paris brothers.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you ever look at the way the Navy looks at conflict of interest.
No, understand. Got it. It's another thick book I'm gonna have to read. Listen, it's 9:34 in the morning. This is the Ray Gibson Show, broadcasting on the Point, but not from the Point Studios. We are here today in the Guam Industry Forum at the Dusitani. A pleasure talking with Mark Mamzars from Black Construction and from the Guam Contractors Association, Bill Beery. Coming up, a little bit more of a local presentation. We've got a number of folks here. Is that Dr. Sam Mabini in there? I have three doctors getting in front of me. Dr. Robert Underwood, Dr. Anita Enriquez, and Dr. Sam Mabini, all going to be part of the discussion that will take us to 10 o'clock this morning. And we'll be right back after these.
This KFC chicken is great. Shrimp. Hey, who are you calling shrimp? KFC's new shrimp burger. It's great. Howdy, folks. KFC's Colonel Sanders here. Try our new shrimp burger and all our seafood items available this season. KFC Food Keliquin, breaded shrimp, seafood salad, and of course, we can't forget your one and only favorite KFC original recipe chicken. All right. I need to try KFC's new shrimp burger. Good, because you really are a shrimp. Hey, a 5-7. KFC. It's finger-licking good.
At Micronesia Renewable Energy, values matter. So all of their solar energy systems come with guarantees and the most value. No shortcuts, all quality. It's giving you that solar energy system at the best price. It's using highly efficient solar panels with typhoon-proven racking, built by highly skilled local technicians, so your system performs and saves you money. It's total peace of mind all the time. Not all solar companies are created equal. For experienced quality solar, it's MRE. Call 632-2613. MRE, the smarter choice.
At GTA, we believe you deserve better than home internet with hidden data fees. That's why all our internet plans are unlimited, because streaming your favorite shows while cooking dinner shouldn't cause indigestion when the internet bill comes. So the choice is yours. Bill shock with the other guys, or a life unlimited with GTA. Say goodbye to hidden data fees and make the switch today. GTA, your island, your network.
Half a day, Guam. Come out and celebrate UOG's 50th anniversary by participating in the Charter Day 5K run. Sunday, March 11th. Showtime 5 a.m. Go time 6 a.m. Come run the 5K and conquer the infamous Marine Lab Hill. This year's theme, green is the new gold. So wear something green and run for the gold. You can register online at supportuog.org or sign up at Hornet Sporting Goods.
Presented by Coast 360, Raymond James, Guam Football Association, Jones & Guerrero, Title Guarantee, National Office Supply, and Copy Express.
How do you turn every day into cash back? With the Bank of Guam Visa credit card, cash back just got better. Get 1.5% cash back every month with every purchase, every pick-me-up, every filler-up, every Sunday dinner, every four-wheel spinner. Whatever comes to mind, even every stroll in the sweet sunshine. Everything your heart desires turns into 1.5% cash back every month. The Bank of Guam Visa credit card, the everyday card. Apply today. Call, click, or visit. Terms and conditions apply. Bank of Guam, member FDIC.
Is it time? It must be, yeah, iConnect time, as a matter of fact. If you want to cue up the chirp chirp noise again, iConnect time is 9:37. Hop on over to iConnect and receive a free gift and automatic entry to win an iPhone 10 with every new 12-month plan from now until Easter at iConnect. There we go, and that, I think, takes care of all of the commercial responsibilities between here and 10 o'clock in the morning. Is that correct, Michael, or do I need to take another break before we're done?
We'll have one more break.
Okay, one more break. Just to kind of jump in when it gets to be too late for me to take it, because otherwise I'll be in the midst of a conversation that I know I'm going to enjoy, because my Uncle Robert is here.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Ray.
How you doing there?
I'm doing great. You know, I got two very accomplished women here with me, so I'm prepared.
Well, no stranger to being surrounded by accomplished women, to be sure. How's my Auntie Narissa doing?
Well, she's doing great. She's doing great.
So this is a big SAME, and the E, I think, stands for engineering, right?
Right.
So math and engineering. And so with the people that I've been talking to in the last last, I don't know, 3.5 hours since before you got here. A lot of them emphasis on construction, a lot of emphasis on being able to do some miracles with infrastructure all the way out here at the end of the supply chain, and that all begins with guys that probably started as kids putting blocks together with each other.
That's
and
right.
I remember mentioning just a couple of hours, because it wasn't that long ago, about the conversation about how the University of Guam, in particular, a few years ago, recognizing that there was going to be this opportunity for young people, stood up a pre-engineering program.
Right. That's right. We've done that, and we're going to have our groundbreaking on our School of Engineering building on March 19th. So we're planning that. So, so
you like to have everything happen at once. So we've got the 5K coming up, we've got Charter Day, and then a couple of days after that.
That's right.
We're going to be doing the groundbreaking for the engineering building.
That's right. And, originally we were thinking about maybe a 3 or 4 year plan to actually give out our first degree. But the senior vice president just told me this morning we have to do it within 2 years.
Oh, really?
So we're getting ready for that.
So this is not going to be one of those groundbreakings where we turn dirt and then leave it for 3 weeks and then so we're turning dirt today and then giving the shovel to the contractor.
That's right.
Saying,
That's right.
Get to work.
That's right. We're going to do that, and academically, we're going to make sure that we're pretty much in line to give our first degree in a couple of years.
Wow. But it won't be the final engineering degree, right? I mean, this is the degree that takes you to the next level.
No, it's a degree.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought wait, because originally it was going to be just kind of a prep program, wasn't it?
Well, originally, and so now a lot of them are going off island, at the 3rd and 4th year to get an engineering degree, and we have some relationships with other universities to do that. But now we're going to give out our own degree. So now, at the same time, we're going to try to get Abbott accredited, which is, in order to apply to be a PE, you have to graduate from an Abbott accredited institution. So for, a couple of years after we give our first degree, it won't be Abbott accredited, but you can still be an engineer.
Right. I'm sure there's a conversion process somewhere out there, right?
Oh, yeah, there is, because, we estimate that probably like in some units like NAFTA, about 2/3 of the engineers are not PEs, but they are practicing engineers.
Oh, they make their way towards that. I didn't realize that was where it was going to be headed. As I said, I thought, because I remember a presentation at the Rotary Club that you did a couple of years ago, I thought it was just going to be some foundation work, and then you go someplace else to get your final degree. So.
Right. No.
It's all the way at once.
It's all the way, and right now we have a faculty of 3, and we're going to try, hopefully we'll be able to, I think we will, hire a couple more.
Looking at the other doctors here.
We're going to hire a couple more, and then that'll kind of put us in good stead, and it'll be great. I mean, I can't think of anything that is more groundbreaking, because you have to think about the University of Guam is the professional workforce for the island. So when we try to think about that, where do we get our professionals? Where do we generate our middle class? Where do we generate taxpayers? They're generated at the University of Guam. So that's why I say don't shortchange the University of Guam, because we're actually helping contribute to the tax base.
Despite any of the shortfalls in income from the general fund, but we'll leave that to another conversation one of these days, because I think so when you stood this up, it's not just we've got another 3 teachers or something like that, and they're going to take you all the way to the degree. There are obviously some other impacts in some of the other studies fields at the University of Guam that might have needed some kind of augmentation. Did you have to bring in more physics guys, math guys?
So
fine arts.
Well, all of that. Actually, it does contribute to that. But like math, our math, before we had pre-engineering, where it was a robust program, we had a hard time filling 1 or 2 sections of calculus.
Right.
Now we can't teach enough calculus.
Exactly.
Now, when you think about that changes the whole trajectory of who goes to the university, the quality of students. The students who are like the greatest math minds on this island, maybe 90 or 100 or 150 of them would have gone off island, but they're up there in Manila, and they're helping reshape not only their own future, but they're helping reshape the way the campus runs.
And whether they go into the engineering program or not, they've still got that as a basis to use someplace else or into another degree program.
Absolutely. So, you know, it's like people who major in biology, you know, whether they intend to go into, you know, hopefully go into med school. Even if they don't end up in med school, they got a lot of biology knowledge.
Right.
And then that ultimately benefits the idea.
Let me, real quick, before I switch gears too far, because I wanted to, it's in my head, and as we talk about the developments that you're making with engineering, you know, I think there's always room to applaud what has been done in nursing and the nursing program at the University of Guam.
Fantastic.
I mean, you need literally more classrooms with more chairs in them to be able to meet the interest in that program.
That's correct, and the quality of the program. So we just underwent an accreditation review. We have specialized accreditations for different schools. We just underwent that, but you know, for 2 years in a row, 100% success rate in the NCLEX exams, which then allows them to become RNs.
Right.
Now, you know, the average
Well,
rate.
you know why you've got 100% on that, because you've got such stringent entry requirements into the program. You need to be a real brainiac, and you have to have a very, very strong academic record before they even look at your application for the class.
That you're absolutely correct. So we're constantly working with that, and then after they graduate, of course, they get a lot of tutoring. And so, you know, where the average rate, I think, is around 85% or 80%. In the nation is 85%. We're at 100%.
That's insane, isn't it?
It's incredible.
Well, but let's take that conversation. Okay, so Dr. Anita Enriquez is going to turn on that microphone, and we'll continue the conversation with her. As I said, you know, we've got some great things that are going on into those programs, and the need for the nurses are fantastic. We get the nurse, and then we send her over to GRMC. No, it's on. No, you're good. You're good. So we send them over to GRMC or Guam Memorial Hospital. When we do the deal with the engineering kids, will we be able to put them to work right away? Yes, we got.
I mean, the people who are monitoring us the closest is NAFAC.
Well, you know, I mentioned that to the NAFAC guy just a little bit ago, because it wasn't that long ago. You'll remember, Dr. Mabini will remember, when it seemed like every brainiac that you needed to get a hold of, because there were some good operators out there in the world, and you'd make a phone call to wherever it was they were working, and then it said, no, he doesn't work here anymore. Well, why not? We quit the bank, and now he works over at NAVFAC. What does he do? Well, whatever it is, he's making a lot more than me. So thanks very much for the reminder.
They picked up, I think, over 40 contract interns.
I knew many of them.
Years ago. And so it was interesting because I went down to the old OICC location right in front of the main Naval Base gate. And as someone says, would you like to take a tour of Intern World? I said, what is Intern World? So I go in and I say, peek behind every single cubicle wall, I found a graduate from the University of Guam. I said, oh my goodness, these are all our students. Yeah. So when they had to scale down, a lot of them had to leave Island if they wanted to stay on track with their, career.
Because there was a new career path for them to be on.
So they left to California, Italy, Virginia, and so forth. And so they're an older group. We just had a meeting with Captain Jones's team, and they wanted to look for summer interns, not just in the engineering field, but also in business. So they had a mini job fair on campus, and a lot of interest. And so we have very excited students.
Is that where the majority of the headhunters are coming from now, is NAVFAC?
Well, we still get them from the private sector and, the larger telecom.
Make them fight for it.
Yeah.
Make them fight for it.
Oh, my goodness.
That's how you put that's the value of the degree that you get from the University of Guam, is that you are right here, and in the backyard of the University of Guam, you've got all these people because they got to keep with you're right, they got to compete with the bank and GTA and Docomo.
Sure. The accounting majors, they all are required to go through an internship course, and so all the firms are competing for these accounting interns, and they can, the students can afford to be selective. It's just interesting dynamic going on.
Maybe that's what we put into the program next year for the next one of these industry forums, is an opportunity for some of the students from the University of Guam to come by here and make sure that some of the vendors, some of the companies that want to do joint ventures are at least familiar with the faces that they're going to be seeing around here. Dr. Sam Mabini is here. How you doing there?
Good morning, Ray.
Where you been?
Pretty busy with Department of Labor.
At DOL.
The last 3 years,
So
at least.
I've been trying to keep up on some of the reports that Gary Hiles has been putting out lately. There's a real gem of a guy that you've got over at that place, and I hope that you are finding new and unusual ways to take advantage of his skills, other than just keeping track of some of the dry numbers of employment and wages and hourly stuff. Yeah.
We're looking at different studies and actually funding sources to be able to start exploring some of the information that we can produce, infographics that businesses would be able to best use.
Right.
So I challenge him with a lot of these different questions. We collect a lot of data. It's a matter of being able to compile that data and analyze that data and present it in a way that'll be useful.
Well,
I'll be sharing some today.
But yeah, the presentation is important because most of the documentation that I see looks like it's the same presentation format as they had when Ricky Bradallo was the governor.
Well, you'd be happy to see if you go to the Bureau of Labor Statistics website.
I have seen
you will see the new infographics that are there.
Right.
And it's feeding off from that data. And that same information is not only readily available on the BLS site, but also on our HireGuam.com, where we feature labor market information for youth, adults, employers, so that they can click onto that and then also get that information at a blink of an eye. And during this afternoon's presentation today, I'll be sharing a number of those graphs.
You know, Bill Beery was sitting in that chair just a little bit ago, and among the things that he said, and honestly, the number surprised me. I didn't realize that we had quite as many of our people involved in the contracting trades. 4,000 local, so even though there is obviously a significant need for the H-2 visas, there is still a lot of ample work to be done here, and there's still a huge number of guys that are doing it. I didn't realize the numbers were that big for that.
Yes, when I got into the department, again, it's all about asking the right question.
Yes.
And so I started asking the right questions, and what came to light was that over 75% of our construction workers are locals. The 25% had generally been the foreign laborers that help fill the gap during the peaks, and then when the lulls happen, then they leave, etc. So we don't have this big hit on unemployment for Guam, which works. But with this upcoming buildup, we can't afford that that kind of difference.
So how do we make sure that as we have this all filled out, that there is still for all of the military and federal programs that are going out there, how do we ensure that the Department of Labor is meeting some of those needs to get more locals interested and more involved in the contracting scene?
And that's the kind of question I want to hear. Yeah, and that's what I'm going to be pushing. Employers need to play a role in being able to develop our local workforce. It's not just a Department of Labor responsibility. In many states, as well as here in Guam, we have great companies here in Guam who are very proactive in partnering with Department of Labor and institutions to train up their staff. You just had in the seat here earlier, I believe it was Black Construction.
Yeah.
You notice they're not complaining a lot because about all their employees are locals.
Yeah.
And they're loyal to the company, and they want to stay with the company. And that's what we want. We want companies to continue investing. So Department of Labor does have various programs for people to come in and find employment. But then there are many who do not know where to go, or maybe have some of are kind of shortchanged because of life experiences or life happens, and we have programs where we can train them up. So we've been working with our various schools like the GCA Trades Academy and Guam Community College, and I'm even actually talking to the University of Guam of trying to think outside the box, think about different ways to train up individuals, no matter where they are in their life. Whether
there's one, and I'll bring it back. So, Mike, if you got the headphones on in the studio, we'll take the last break of the program, and when we come back, ask about some of the programs. I recall GCC had this in the past, and I know that Mary Okada, who's not in this panel right now, would be among the first to remind me about some programs that they had put together that links up companies that might not have all of the financial resources to be able to bring in and train new guys, but there are always federal dollars and some grants that might be out there that would support that. So we'll talk about that when we return right after these.
We have those moments in our lives that happen unpredictably. The unexpected instances that we did not really need. Now you can count on us to stay well, Papa, to live well, Papa, to stay well, making sure you stay well. Oh, I'll lift you up when times are low. I'll see how far we'll go, and stay well.
Stay Well Insurance. See how far we'll go.
Water. It covers nearly 3/4 of our Earth. From vast oceans to millions of rivers and streams. We're all concerned with protecting our world's water, but none is more important than the water you and your family drink and use throughout your home. A Connecticut water treatment system can improve your water so that your family is using the best water in the world. Connecticut, for refreshing ideas on water.
American Water Tech. Smarter water. Better water. Call American Water Tech at 649-2301 or email info@americanwatertech.com.
Family Finance has been serving the people of Guam since 1959, and they'll continue to be there for you in the years to come. Whether you're looking to get a personal loan for that summer vacation or paying off those long overdue bills, Family Finance has got you covered. Apply for a personal loan from $1,000 up to $3,500 by calling Family Finance in Hagåtña at 475-4545, Upper Tuon 647-5626, or in Dededo 633-4473. Family Finance has been serving the people of Guam since 1959.
We're in the midst, and it's funny, because I left the conversation. Say, hey, we'll take a break and we'll talk about programs, or you can take a business. As an example of my business here, as a radio guy, we got all this IT stuff that I get to play with now. I halfway understand the manuals that I'm reading, and it would be great if I could get a 19-year-old kid that could come and read the manuals and then do it for me. But I don't have the money to support them anymore. It used to be when minimum wage was $5 an hour, no problem. But now it's a lot higher than that, and so I'm looking at the job and can I make the investment? And most of the time the answer is going to come up as no. But every once in a while I'll hear from Mary or one of you guys that says, well, you know what you need to do here is we get this program and we'll line up a student and we'll get them into your shop, and then what happens is you train them and we'll pick up half the salary. You know what? That makes a whole lot more sense to me. That's a little bit more agreeable.
How about if we say Department of Labor will pay 100% of their salary
What time?
for the first 6 months, and with hopes that you're going to say, gosh, I can't live without this person. I've got to pick up this person. It starts at minimum wage. We want to pay them an extra $1 or $2 to be able to, give them up to $10 an hour.
Okay, well,
but that's a program.
I'll take you up on the
there
offer.
There you go.
So where do I sign up?
You sign up with me. I give you my card. You call my office, and then actually I have staff coming in this afternoon, and they'll be able to sit down with you and be able to coordinate that.
But that's a live program right now. You're working.
It's always been, but what we're doing is we're formalizing it and doing a lot more outreach to businesses to help them understand. The thing about it, it has always been there, but it's about employers understanding how it works.
Right.
Just like registered apprenticeship. There's this, and earlier you're talking about that program, I believe that you're mentioning at the college. The state apprenticeship office now sits at Department of Labor. And so through our office, we're monitoring where the labor market is, how the labor market looks like, where is the high demand. And the monies that were coming from the H-2B fees is what was helping to cover some of this apprenticeship training.
Which may go up depending on whether or not Regine gets her way on that legislation.
Right.
Yeah.
And but it's first come, first served. A lot of companies, other than construction, have taken advantage of the Manpower Development Fund. We have telecommunications, we've had hotel tourism gone up to them, variety of other industries, but construction to some degree has not really fully taken advantage of that.
And you know what, maybe they won't ever, and the conversation that I had with the president of SAME Worldwide was, if it was just construction, that would be one thing, but now we're looking at all aspects, and security is a big issue, and there is a digital component to the security, so it might not always be guys that are pulling saws and twisting screwdrivers. It might be people sitting at a keyboard, and that might be their contribution to the the island's infrastructure as we move forward. So we're talking about getting the students into these programs and getting them all matriculated and certified, and then there's another component to that, and that is actually to get them employed and having them work full-time jobs and all of that. And I thought, well, I've already got the kid, I've already led him to water, and now you guys want me to make him drink too? So how do we do that? What step do we take for that?
Well, this is a commitment that we're going to move forward with and begin them at the freshman level. Teach them about financial literacy, how to balance being able to afford to not just go to school, but also pay for all the little toiletries or whatever whatever they need to just survive, and not freak out if for some reason they have a $100 balance on their tuition before they can register for the next semester. Currently looking at just the notion of student employment and all of the different campus employment opportunities for students. The students don't want to leave campus. Hey, we've got teaching assistantships, research assistantships. We have federal student work study programs. We have research grants in which students can actually participate working with faculty or scientists or administrators. But that inventory is what we're going to start up with, and having a more robust relationship with our Department of Labor as well as with our employers. We have job fairs that are ongoing and not just once a year.
The music is playing in the background. It means I'm gonna have to wrap up here, but I did want to make one other point here. Sometimes we're talking about young students, kids out of high school, et cetera, et cetera. Don't forget the veteran population. There's a bunch of guys with skills, with a work ethic. We know they're, for the most part, drug-free, and we're lucky not messed up anywhere, so those are guys that we need to get into these programs as well. I think that's going to have to be where we leave off this conversation. We'll come back and do it again in the studio and talk some more. Dr. Anita Enriquez, great to have you around here. Dr. Mabini, I use your desk every single day and think about you as I pull up to it. And Uncle Robert, it's always a pleasure talking with you as well. No, the pleasure is completely mine. Hey, listen, you've been listening to KUSG, The Point, as we've been broadcasting here from the Guam Industry Forum. I have to leave, but there is going to be more here, obviously, all day. And then from here, there is also the Guam Industry Forum tomorrow. We're not done yet with all of the networking and all of the speech making that goes on. Hey, we're KUSG Agutnia. Here's the Fox News.
Continues to see snowfall from this latest winter blast. Connecticut Governor Dan Malloy says residents should prepare for varying levels of snow into the evening.
It's going to range from a low of 4 inches to a high potentially of 16 inches, depending on what neighborhood you're in.
Malloy says he expects the snow bands to continue through about 10 p.m. Similar stories are coming in from neighboring states. New York, New Jersey, Massachusetts expecting a foot of snow in some towns, and rare instances of thunder snow were reported in Philadelphia and the New York area, Lisa.
Gernal, thanks. The Florida House has passed gun legislation spurred by last month's deadly school shooting in Parkland. They now send the bill to the governor to sign. California Governor Jerry Brown lashing out after Attorney General Jeff Sessions filed a federal lawsuit against the state over its sanctuary status.
This is basically going to war against the state of California, the engine of the American economy. It's not wise, it's not right, and it will not stand.
The lawsuit coming after the mayor of Oakland warned residents on Twitter of upcoming ICE raids. More than 100 Republican lawmakers with concerns over President Trump's proposed steel and aluminum tariffs.
House Ways and Means Committee Chairman Kevin Brady and 106 other House Republicans are urging President Trump to reconsider broad tariffs in a letter released today. While applauding the president for standing up against bad actors who trade unfairly, the GOP lawmakers also warned broad global tariffs on aluminum and steel could make U.S. businesses less competitive and cost consumers more.
Fox's Jared Halpern on Capitol Hill. The White House has said NAFTA partners Mexico and Canada could be carved out of the tariff plan. Fox News, fair and balanced.
Unexpected reactions to smart financial decisions brought to you by feedthepig.org.
Well, I finally did it. My student loan is totally paid off.
I can't believe it.
I can't believe it either. I paid more than the minimum each month, and soon enough, it was gone.
So you're just giving up?
Giving up on what?
The life of luxury. Egyptian cotton, caviar Thursdays, designer everything.
What are you talking about?
Our plan. What happened to winning the lottery and mastering the art of the perfect mimosa? Hosting galas, wearing enough jewelry to require a bodyguard, vacationing in the French Riviera, and then buying it.
I just thought maybe it was time to prepare for my future. You know, set some financial goals, make some smart investments, open a 401k.
Financial goals? Investments? A 401k? You are horrifying right now. Listen, if winning the lottery were easy, everyone would do it.
When it comes to